busy weekend. As I said, we're going to cover I'm calling it the GOP budget sellout, because that's what it was. They sold out America. They were given a mandate in this last election to go in there to change things, to not keep supporting Barack Obama's plans, to not keep supporting Obamacare, to not support amnesty, to not support the unconstitutional way that our country is being led. They were given that mandate. How do they respond to it? It's just business as usual. Well, we can't be seen as shutting down the government. Then we're going to be called obstructionists. The media will be mean to us. Who cares? How about we get some people in office that actually have a backbone, that have thick skin, that aren't going to be so upset about every little print that comes across the New York Times. In fact, Drudge is even calling it Merry Christmas, goodies for all. So we're going to get into that in a little bit when Nick O'Kelly gets here. Also, we're going to, this will probably be tomorrow on the Sunday Spin, and particularly on my part of the Sunday Spin, the Drew Howard Show, 9 to 11, right here on KineticHiFi.com and Spreaker Web Radio. But we're really going to dive into Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook hoax, as I believe it to be perpetrated, and as a lot of people out there do. We're seeing numbers that are growing in every poll, that more and more people are questioning the official narrative that we were given out of that event. Look, I believe flat out it was a capstone event. It was a capstone drill that the media picked up and went live with in an attempt to take our guns. Got more evidence coming out about fluoride causing cancer. Got more police attacks. Georgia police killing a man who was face down when he was shot in the head. He was on his back, shot on his back and on his left shoulder, showing he was face down in the head. Got rubber bullets and tear gas in Berkeley as the protests for Eric Gardner and the Ferguson rallies are continuing. Still, just stories we've talked about. I see InfoWars picked up the sexist story we talked about last Saturday on here about why young men are giving up on dating. Men in their 20s and 30s, why they're giving up on dating or trying to have a family. So we'll go to that. Breitbart today is running the Breitbart's running an article on their main page. Their top article today is talking about how this Exodus movie is nothing more than a veiled push for amnesty. And I'm sure we'll get into the terrorist actions, the terrorist CIA report that came out that's showing torture. In fact, let's go ahead and we'll play a video right now on that. It's a Bloomberg video right here setting the stage. We're going to jump into the CIA torture debate to start this episode today. Go ahead and play a video here, get you primed and ready, and then we'll be back and we'll give you our thoughts. Hopefully Nick O'Kelly will be in the studio by then. If not, I'll give you my thoughts, and we'll continue this holding pattern until Nick O'Kelly gets here. So enjoy this video. This is John Helleman, CIA torture debate. It's very much alive. It's a Bloomberg video. Got it off of Breitbart right now. We'll go ahead. We'll play it.
This afternoon, the CIA director, John Brennan, had a press conference, a rare thing, at CIA headquarters at Langley in Virginia, and said that while some people at the CIA made mistakes in dealing with people they captured after 9/11, the overall effectiveness of torture, or to use the Ron Ziegler-esque expression, enhanced interrogation techniques, is, quote, unknowable.
There was useful intelligence, very useful, valuable intelligence that was obtained from individuals who had been, at some point, subjected to EITs. Whether that could have been obtained without the use of those EITs is something, again, that is unknowable.
So Brennan basically read the statement or version of the statement that the CIA put out the day the report came out. Does his press conference today change anything in this debate?
I don't think it changes anything. And, you know, one of the most amazing things was this was Senator Feinstein's office, or Senator Feinstein herself, we don't know, live tweeting while Brennan was giving this and going through point by point, rebutting him, saying, no, we have the proof here that the EITs, the torture didn't lead to bin Laden, torture didn't do this, torture didn't do that. I think the debate remains as hot as it was before this. This didn't do anything to cool it out at all.
The next move is there's pressure within the pro-reports caucus, Feinstein and outside groups who are saying now, look, the CIA and pro-CIA side counteroffensive to the report has been very strong and overwhelming and has really moved the debate. There are people saying Feinstein and others need to go out more. She's done a couple interviews. You haven't seen very many Democrats. We've tried to book them on the show to come out and defend the report. There's talking points being prepared and a real effort to say we need to push back and make the case on the report.
And you need to read the full report. And this was one of Feinstein's things. I hate to go back to Twitter again, but it's like read the full report. Read the entire report.
If winning a Washington debate requires getting people to read a report, good luck.
But the argument is that the report is somehow the report is somehow flawed by the fact that it's partisan in nature. And if you actually look at the report, there are things substantively. I agree with you. That's getting people to read 6,700 pages is a hard thing to do. I got to say, one thing, the most striking thing to me about this debate is that we are in the realm of epistemology now. You've got John Brennan, who back in 2013 said he didn't know whether the techniques had worked or generated valuable intelligence. Now he's saying it's unknowable. He sounds like Immanuel Kant. And that is a weird place for a Washington debate to be.
And the fact is,
chief spy master.
And the fact is, it's not unknowable. You could look at the actual real-world cases and try to make a decision, which is what the report purports to do.
And just in case that didn't set the stage enough for you, we've got the big story out of the AP right here talking about it, how this is really just a power play, it's looking like, between Senator Dianne Feinstein and the CIA. There are disputes over who spied on whom and censoring the Senate's scathing torture reporter history, but the personal feud between Senator Dianne Feinstein and CIA Director John Brennan may only be getting worse. Relations between the outgoing Senate Intelligence Committee chairwoman and America's top spy appeared to hit a new low Thursday as Feinstein live-tweeted comments contradicting Brennan as he publicly addressed her panel sweeping allegations of CIA wrongdoing. While Feinstein later praised Brennan for accepting many of her inadequate inquiry's conclusions, the damage was done. Hashtag read the report was a refrain from Feinstein as Brennan was aware of the news conference as Brennan held a rare news conference, at the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. She berated the CIA chief for suggesting, contrary to her report, that the agency's enhanced irrigation techniques were legal and may have helped lead to the killing of Osama bin Laden and save lives. Brennan acknowledged the CIA officers did abhorrent things and they were unprepared to run a detention program after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack. Yet he was hardly praiseworthy of Feinstein and the fellow Democrats, calling it lamentable as they interviewed no CIA personnel to ask, what were you thinking? He called the investigation flawed. And that's what the opponents, the CIA supporters, if you will, here in this case are saying, is that it's a flawed report. It's going to make us look weak to the world. It's going to put American soldiers and American personnel abroad in danger. But my whole question is, if you sign up to be a soldier, if you sign up for the State Department, if you sign up to be a government representative sent to another country, whether it's an ambassador, whether it's a embassy station chief, whether it's a CIA station chief, whether it's any form of the intelligence community, or even a goodwill ambassador, do you not sign up for a job that inherently puts you in danger? Is going to a foreign country as a spy not immediately going to put you in danger? So how is this report going to put them in any more danger? The rest of the world knows that we've been torturing people. Only Americans are the ones that are naive enough to believe, oh, we always fight the good fight. Our ends justify our means. We never let the ends justify the means. We always hold to our moral high ground. Really? It's not the America I've seen over the past 75 years since Project Paperclip and the Nazis came over, but maybe that's just me.
Well, Dick Cheney says it's a load of crap.
We got Nick O'Kelly coming into the studio right now joining us. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Drew. And glad to be here this morning in the Kinetic Hi-Fi studios. I tell you, I'm driving this behemoth Sprinter van around, not to interject, in the parking over there has the fence has a line of branches on it. So that just scratched
Oh, no.
the whole side of the van. All right, I'm sorry to interject, but yes, I heard you're talking about the torture report. I'm assuming.
Yes, the torture report. And one of my Facebook friends put up a great response to it because, of course, Fox News was saying, yes, we torture because we're awesome. I'm going to get to that clip later. One of the talking head morons on the 5. That shows an embarrassment.
Yes, we torture, and I hope they burn.
Yeah, pretty much. She was like, well, what we do is awesome because we're awesome. And if we stop doing that, we're not going to be awesome anymore. I'm like, there's no depth to that there.
I'm getting tired of that whole justification. There's a lot of that going on right now. Well, America is awesome, and so we need to keep. We need to get back to why we were awesome before. We're not awesome now.
Yeah, and one of my Facebook friends put up a great point about that, and particularly the red side's acquiescence of torture and how, pro-torture, if it's stopping terrorists, we got to be for it. Anything that they said after 9/11, we have to accept, we have to take. The GOP base that refuses to ask questions that are going along, that don't realize that they got screwed this week. One of the hashtags I used on Spreaker, Nick, since you weren't here for it, was GOP budget sellout, because we're going to get to that and how the GOP sold out America with this budget.
Oh, that's a traitorous spending bill. We'll have to get to that.
We're going to get to
ridiculous.
that, but that's one of the hashtags. But a lot of people can't see that, and they're so blinded by whatever Fox News tells them or whatever the GOP tells them that they go along with it. And one of my Facebook friends, back to what I'm getting to before we get too far away from it here, put on there that he finds it funny that there's all these Christians supporting the CIA torture. Because if your fundamental view is that God came to earth in human form and was tortured to death by the government, maybe you should take a second look at this report.
Well,
I
mean, you know exactly what's going on there. Listen,
exactly.
I think we can use this torture report situation as a very good synopsis, a good description of where the real fight is right now congressionally. It has nothing to do with the liberals, with the Democrats. It has everything to do with the core establishment Republicans fighting against the grassroots Tea Party movement going on right now.
Because they've sided with the Democrats. They've sided with the sellouts. And it's now all about anything that wants to attack the Constitution, as we're seeing with the torture report.
Yeah, the establishment Republicans, here's the thing. I mean, they are big spenders. They are about big military. They love this police state stuff, and that's what's really John Boehner, I think, is probably just as bad at this point in terms of a detriment to the country as Obama is, because he's going to let these big spending bills continue to go.
Exactly.
They're funding Michelle's lunch program.
Then now they're having to give out iPods and bicycles to get people to eat their lunch, to get kids to eat their lunch. We'll get to that later on today.
I can't believe that. But this is the point. They put all this stuff through in these big spending bills and don't let anybody read it. This torture program is part of that too. The Republicans, and what I was getting to with what you were saying with the Christians, is that a lot of them fundamentally conservative Republicans, right? Mm-hmm. So there you go. They kind of follow in line with what they're told to do. They think that makes them good people, and a lot of times, and that's what these big churches with their big agendas are teaching in a lot of places.
The 501c3s, yes. Don't ever question the government.
Yeah, so they're and again, I'm not trying to make blanket statements. I'm making generic statements, and this is going on throughout the country. But the point is, a lot of them are they think they're going along with the right thing, without actually looking into the fact that this torture program doesn't produce any good results. It doesn't produce fallible information.
Nick, it must be right. Our government said it.
Yeah,
the government.
Well, that's the mentality.
Right.
Yeah,
they'll take away our 501c3 status if we don't get up there and tell our congregation to turn in their guns.
Yeah.
What? You mean Jesus told Peter to sell his cloak and go buy a sword? Nope, we don't need that verse anymore. Let's not read that one.
Yeah,
let's just gloss over that. Let's get back over here to render unto Caesar what Caesar. See, God wants you to obey the government. Render unto Caesar. God wants you to obey the government.
Yeah, that's a good example of a person you slap.
Unfortunately, that's churches all across the country now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And it's getting worse because you're seeing the mayor of Houston demand that they turn over their sermon notes to make sure they're not preaching against gay marriage. So now what? You can no longer preach the book of Leviticus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we're driving towards.
Exactly.
This is where it's going.
Exactly. We're going back into the dark ages, only now it's because our population has decided to dumb themselves down to the point where they don't understand what's in the Bible. At least during the dark ages, at least during the Middle Ages, the population couldn't read, so they kind of had a pass on why they weren't reading the Bible themselves and were being manipulated by the church.
Well, unfortunately, now it has to do with because
the
it's
slaves,
become a trend.
150
Churches
years
become
ago,
a trend
200
now.
years ago, slaves weren't allowed to read, so they couldn't read that when the slave owners would only preach to them the passages telling them to be a good servant.
Church is a trend now. People follow the trend. I hate to say that because I know it probably offends a lot of people to hear it, but it really is. Why do you go to church? I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying you should take a look at yourself and really decide for yourself why you're going, rather than going just to go, because if that's why you're there for the wrong reasons anyway. And maybe you're hearing the wrong messages.
And I'm seeing more and more, particularly in the independent media, particularly in the truther community, if you will, I'm seeing more and more people almost have a great awakening to what organized religion does. It's turning back more towards a Thomas Jefferson mentality.
Well, what are they supposed to do?
Spiritual, but not religious, because of the problems that organized religion creates.
What are they supposed to do, though, when
create.
you have people like Dick Cheney up there saying this stuff here? You know, the notion that the agency was operating on a rogue basis was a flat-out lie, quote-unquote. That's what Cheney says.
Oh, well,
But he was a former vice president.
Yeah.
He was a Republican former vice president. So when you've got people like that as, quote-unquote role models for these people that are in these C3 churches, what are they supposed to do?
And they were running around screaming, "We need to torture people after 9/11."
He looks like a demon in this picture.
He is a demon. He's more machine than man, twisted and evil now. I mean, he's basically Darth Vader.
He says, I think this is a terrible report, deeply flawed. That's what he said. Now, I bet he thinks it's deeply flawed because it probably is going to incriminate him in many different ways.
Oh, I'm sure, but Obama's already pardoned him and Bush for many war crimes, which he can't even pardon because that's not The Hague in Switzerland. But, we don't need to look into that. There's no reason there.
We've lost the moral high ground. We keep saying that, and these are the physical. This is the physical evidence of that, right here, that we're out there torturing. I mean, the reports are in from the troops that a lot of times it was innocents they were torturing. Look, if they're going to do that to one group of people, they'll do it here at home, and that's really the point. Are we willing to do that to another group of people over corrupt governments? Whether we have beef with them or not, we don't need to be torturing civilians. But yet, this has come out now. We knew this was going on, and now we know really how bad it was. It was bad. Some bad stuff in this thing. I don't know if you've read through it all. But anyway, so we'll be right back. I hear the music here. I haven't been here in a couple weeks, and it's nice to be back. The KineticHiFi.com studios. I'm Nick O'Kelly, Drew Howard. This is the Weekend Sit and Spin, and we'll be right back.
For the third year in a row, Condé Nast Traveler has named Charleston, South Carolina, the world's best city. Now, a radio station that brings Charleston to the rest of the world. You're listening to KineticHiFi.com.
Your business not going right? Don't know how to advertise? Come holler at your boys right here at Signs to See. We specialize in all your advertising needs. You need t-shirts, business cards, signs, banners. We got it all. Car magnets, decals, flyers. We got it all for you right here at Signs to See. Conveniently located at 937 Wapo Road, Suite 2B. You can also call us at 843-608-0722. You got a family reunion, you got a class reunion, and don't know how to get your t-shirts done? Well, call Signs to See. Signs to See is conveniently located at 937 Wapo Road, Suite 2B. Also, you can call us 843-608-0722. Or you can log on, SignsToSee.com. And I do all my business with Signs to See.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, why is the computer so slow?
Internet connection?
It can't be the internet connection. We pay like $300 a month for that.
Holy chestnut.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, I know.
Yeah.
So it must be. Let's look around here for a second.
All right.
Yeah. You know what?
What?
Where's this wire go?
That wire?
That wire.
I don't know. It looks new.
It does kind of look new, but then there's like 18 wires down there. Let's try plugging it in over here. What do you say?
No, not there. No, right here.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are you sure, Tom?
Positive. Plug it in.
All right, let's try that out.
Okay.
Don't be that guy. Instead, put your trust in ITSimplified.com. Cloud computing, data center servers, network management, Web 2.0, SQL, scalable architectures, programming, tech infrastructure, security, and anything else you shouldn't bother trying to figure out. Call 843-376-1991. That's 843-376-1991. ITSimplified.com. That's IT-simplified.com. Solutions simplified.
You're listening to KineticHiFi.com, baby.
I watched the world fall to the dark side of the moon. After all, I knew it had to be something to do with you. I really
All right, welcome back to the Weekend Sit and Spin. We're talking the CIA torture report this morning. That doesn't sound like a very attractive thing to be talking about, but like I was saying,
I've got this Fox News clip here, Nick, that play that you're.
Well, she's attractive.
It'll change your mind. Yeah, well, all of them in this clip are, but
but here's the thing. I think this is extremely important because, like I was saying, this really does highlight what we talk about a lot of times, that the fight is really between the establishment Republicans and the grassroots.
Well,
they're the ones who are sneaking all this pork belly by. They're the ones who want this war in Afghanistan.
And that's because, as we've told you time and time again on here, the establishment Republicans are nothing more than the other side of the Democratic coin. They're both being flipped by the New World Order. They're both being controlled by the Council on Foreign Relations. They're both being controlled by the global bankers.
That's right.
Did you see this week that in the question that came up, because every lamestream media, MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, they've all go ahead and just given up. They've relegated that the 2016 election is going to be Jeb versus Hillary.
That's unbelievable.
So did you see the comments that George W. Bush made about this? Like, well, Hillary's like my sister-in-law.
Yeah, see, they were mortal enemies. Really, now they're best friends.
There was a great piece done this week on Infowars.com and on the Alex Jones Show showing Bill Clinton's relationship with George H.W. Bush.
Oh, it's very intimate.
It's a great piece that really just pulls back the wool. And these American royal families, it's ironic we had the royal family over here this week because that's what we're really seeing in America now, is that the Bush and the Clintons are America's royal families.
Yeah, because the Obamas are run by the Clintons. There's no doubt. And so what you really do have is Clinton and Bush running the show.
Well,
Absolutely.
and it falls back more to George H.W. Bush still running the show and that traitorous piece
I mean, the families.
Garbage.
The families are in control here.
I mean,
but you know,
Barbara Bush. Do we even have to get into Barbara Bush's connection to Aleister Crowley? Folks, do your research. But you don't have to take our word for it. Look into the stuff, folks, because you're gonna see it.
It's why it's a great reason to go watch House of Cards, because it shows that relationship where they control the Democratic Party. And it's like I swear it's like what you see here. You see one family controlling the entire party, being behind the entire thing.
Now pull back the curtain and realize that these families, these upper echelon families, not just the Bushes, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, this holiday season, they're not going to be lighting a menorah. They're not going to be gathering around the Christmas tree. They're going to be praying to Baphomet. Yeah. They're going to be following their satanic Luciferian doctrine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
that's what we're up against, folks. Look at it. Look at it.
That is the historical battle that's going on. It's far-reaching beyond all of this racism and fake stuff that they try to create. If you boil it all down, we have a historical battle between good and evil going on.
Exactly. And the sad thing is most people out there still want to believe that the world is a good place. Still want to believe that there are not nefarious people, because you or I may not be that nefarious. We assume everybody's that way, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it time and time again. And let me go ahead and play this clip here, though, of what Fox News has to say about the torture report.
Oh, I'm very interested.
She's leaving her chairmanship, so Dianne Feinstein wants to get this off her desk. And look, I agree with you. The United States of America is awesome. We are awesome. But we've had this discussion. We've closed the book on it, and we've stopped doing it. And the reason they want to have this discussion is not to show how awesome we are. This administration wants to have this discussion to show us how we're not awesome.
This administration
they apologize for this country. They don't like this country. They want us to look bad, and all this does is have our enemies laughing at us that we are having.
Our enemies are beheading and raping people.
I agree. This isn't going to get them fired up anyway.
Is this kindergarten?
Basically,
what they're saying.
Yes.
Our enemies and listen to the words they're using.
This makes our enemies laugh at us. No, the other lady was right. Our enemies are out there raping and beheading people.
Yeah,
our enemies are out there. Yeah,
it just amazes me that they start arguing over the idea of awesome or not. I mean, that's so childish. That's so black and white. You got. I mean, there's so much more to this than whether or not America is awesome.
Well, I mean, that's
oh my gosh, I love this song.
Everything is awesome. But it's amazing to go watch the Lego Movie and you think, wow, this is that's ridiculous.
Watched it the other night.
this is exactly what they're doing on Fox News. They're fighting over whether or not we're awesome.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Exactly, because we're a distraction. We're not going to tell you the
Incredible.
Headlines. Don't forget to
We're
smile.
definitely not going to tell you that the GOP sold you out and threw you under the bus this week.
Always return a compliment. Hey, you look nice. So do you. Drink overpriced
America
coffee.
is awesome. We've closed the book.
$37.
Exactly. Because we have a Starbucks on every corner.
Yeah, there's no question anymore. We're awesome, so forget it. Forget about it. You know. Good gracious!
Did you see in the song? This is kind of interesting in referencing the Lego Movie there, and how just totally great the Lego Movie was. Still, definitely one of my top 2 from this year as we're closing down. There's only one other movie coming out that I'm excited for this year, but I don't think it's going to replace either Captain America 2 or the Lego Movie, in my opinion, for the best movies of the year. It'll be good. I'm, of course, talking about The Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that does look pretty good.
But I don't think that's going to supplant. It's going to be a lot like Mockingjay was. You know, it's going to be good. And it really pulled back the wool on the propaganda. It really showed how we're misled by people out there. But at the same time, I didn't think it. You know, it didn't have the moments like the Lego Movie had, or like Captain America 2 had. It just was pure freedom. Both of those 2 movies could have been written based off of our show. Captain America 2 especially could have been written based off of the things we talk about week in and week out here on the show.
I think it goes to show, I mean, Mockingjay, whether or not it's as hardcore into some of the ideas as some of these other movies have been, it still goes to show that there's the awakening overall
part of it
happening.
And part of it, and this may be a quasi-sexist comment here on this, but part of it, you have to realize that the main character is a teenage girl, so she's not going to do everything logically. The whole risking her life to go back and get PETA thing never made sense to me. You know, that whole, and then crying about it and inaction and that whole, it kind of drug it down there. It's like, well, and especially when everybody else is like, look, he's gone, let it go.
And and you bring up a good point there. Suzanne Collins is her target market is a teenage girl. Yes. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different.
Illogical.
Or it might just be a different perspective than what we expect from Captain America 2. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just saying. It's not a bad thing.
I just want to break away real quick, though, talking about quasi-sexist things. I got this. I've got a new apartment. We've talked about it a few times on here, and I'm in the process of decorating my new apartment. So I found all of these great old comic books. You know, I love comic books. We talk about comic book movies all the time here. I'm very amped up for the Avengers. We've talked about that. I found these old, they're like painted on a wood piece, but it looks like old comic book covers from the Silver Age, I'd say. It's not quite the golden age of comics, but the Silver Age, you know, the late 60s, early 70s, around that time period for most of them. Marvel and DC both. I found a Wonder Woman one where it's a time stream. She's gone back in time and with Robin Hood. It shows arrows being shot at Robin Hood, and she's blocking, of course, with her wristbands. And it says, it has a speech bubble there with Robin Hood going, "Wonder Woman, you're the best shield I ever had." It's like... It just, I had to get it because it's cool because it's comic and Wonder Woman, but at the same time, it's like quasi-sexist. So that was the impression that I got off of it. And you've seen it, Nick. What are your feelings on it?
I have to agree with the partial sexism of that comic. It would be but
it's still an awesome thing.
I mean, you could put any minority there and have that exact same speech bubble, and it would be just as offensive.
I miss the 60s.
Yeah, right. It's like Operation on the South Park movie.
Yes. Which, hey, speaking of South Park this week, I did see where Dianne Feinstein tried to be trending. I read that before you got here when I was covering this article. That the whole time John Brennan was giving his press conference, she was tweeting #read the report.
Read the report.
So trying to make that trend. South Park did a great 2-part episode the past couple of weeks about the internet entertainment industry and trending and just YouTube stars, all of that stuff, and how it makes no sense. And I don't know, maybe I am a grandpa.
Well, no, I mean, look at it. Look at it right here. This also kind of paints the picture for us. I just saw this.
But I mean, what have we gotten to where our entertainment level is watching somebody else play a video game and talk about it?
Well, exactly. Look, CNS News right here. Obama says, quote, "I spend most of my time watching ESPN." Well, there you go.
Go sports team.
Doesn't that kind of paint the picture for us right there? Our own president is putting out now. This is supposed to be the role model of the free world. This is what it's supposed to be. Okay, and he's putting out to our teens and everyone else. It's okay. All I ever do is watch ESPN. Talking Heads.
As we talked about, William and Kate came over this week, and who did they meet with?
Yeah, right.
LeBron James, Jay-Z, Beyonce. You know, everybody saw the big stir that LeBron James caused by putting his arm around Kate when they took a picture together.
These are our new golden idols. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't have gold statues that we worship anymore, but we have massive rock stars, massive basketball stars. I mean, it's not that it's a bad thing. I like sports, too. It's not that it's a bad thing. But when it becomes where, the dignitaries from other countries are meeting with LeBron James, why? Well, what is he doing for our country? Well, he's making money for a basketball team.
And what? And pushing GMO crap with McDonald's?
Yeah, what is that doing for the country, though?
You know, he's out there having people literally die in the streets for his shoes. Did you see? I think it was like 250 pairs of his shoes were stolen. The new LeBron James Nike shoes were stolen. Do you know what that was valued at? Like $350,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like 200 pairs of shoes. How expensive are these shoes? Those are like $1,000 a piece. Who's going to buy $1,000 a piece shoes?
I don't know, but that's crazy.
And the people that are going to buy those are the same ones that we just saw in Ferguson rioting?
Well,
because they have no money and they have no life?
Yeah, that's what really frustrates me is that you hear people say, oh, well, look how much he's done, or think about how much LeBron James has been able to accomplish. Well, what has he accomplished? I don't really know.
I get that it's nitpicking and pointing things out, but remember a few months ago when we had the McDonald's protest here in Charleston, and people were pointing out the guy wearing like $300 Jordans leading the protest out there for $15 an hour at McDonald's?
Yeah.
Again, good point. If you're working for $7.50 an hour, how do you afford $300 shoes? What are you doing away with? What are you not doing? Are you not buying food for your kids? Seriously, what are you giving up to get that when that's half of your monthly income?
Well, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people keep those crummy jobs to be able to get welfare now. I think that's part
exactly.
of it.
Yeah,
it's part of the culture.
Yeah, get a job at Walmart. They'll get you on welfare.
And again, not trying to make blanket statements, but
look it up, folks. There is an office in Bentonville, Arkansas, that's sole purpose in the Walmart headquarters is to get their hourly employees on government benefits. We're not making that up. It's there. It's in black and white. If you look at Walmart's hierarchy, if you look at their standards of operations, you will see that there is an office there to get their employees on welfare so they don't have to pay them a livable wage. Why can't they be like Hobby Lobby? Why can't they be like Chick-fil-A? Why can't they be like these corporations that do pay their employees a living wage, like Costco?
Which all except that last one that you named, most of them are relatively regional as well, or were started out as such. Pay
And
their
Christian.
taxes, this kind of thing, responsible to the economy. And this is what we're talking about. The people that we have in place, I want to wrap this back around because the people that we have in place, John Boehner and so forth, have lost their sight of being responsible to our economy, to our cycle of life here in America.
They completely gave you a big just screw you guys. I'm going home this week with the budget.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And, I've seen some establishment Republicans that are finally waking up because of this sellout. One that used to host a show here on Kinetic Hi-Fi with us went on this long Facebook tirade yesterday about how she's no longer a Republican because of this deal. And she's starting to see that the Republican establishment is just as bad. She's turning to the grassroots, to the Tea Party, to the Mike Lees, to the Ted Cruzes, to the Trey Gowdies.
When we say they've sold out, and Obama's sold out to the stock market, this is what we're talking about. They've bought out now by special interests and lobbyists that work for these large corporations like Walmart that allow them to get away with something like an office that generates a welfare case out of somebody just because they don't want to give them a higher wage for merit and this kind of thing. And that's what we have to put a stop to. And they have no interest in doing that right now in Congress.
And where's the people to call them out? Where's the people to line up there at Capitol Hill and chant at John Boehner, you sold out, like they will in Miami with LeBron James, or like they'll do all across the country with Seth Rollins? Where are the people to line up there at Capitol Hill and just start chanting, you sold out? Maybe we need to go into the gallery there at Congress and make some disruptions. Go in there and do that. Start a you sold out chant or something like that at the Republicans.
Well, and this is going to be more banker bailout. They're going to continue to not be able to pay the bills, as Obama says, so they're going to continue to raise the taxes to the point that you can no longer be taxed, and that is the point that they're going to start taking the pensions, and then maybe people will see, but then it's going to be too late. And so
it's already too late, I think.
Well, and that's why we say right now, look, mean, look at this out of humanevents.com here. This is on the Drudge Report. Cromnibus, a winter festival of unrestrained spending with a big picture of John Boehner on the front. I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's a quick information about this bill. It says the spending bill. The bill finances the day-to-day operations of Cabinet Department except Homeland Security through September 30th, 2015. No questions. $521 billion for defense. $492 billion tied to non-defense. Another $64 billion provided for overseas military operations. They're funding Michelle Obama's, lunch program that's being completely criticized throughout the nation.
Not even criticized. It's not wanted. It's kids are not eating it. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only that, it's costing schools money across the board. Like schools are having issues. Yeah, I mean they're having budget issues now. Think about how growing up, it was always probably a joke for you and my generation. I'm sure the generation even now has jokes about the school making budget cuts all the time. You know, schools have always had issues with budget because that's it just seems like they're always on the back burner, unfortunately, for teachers, and that's why you hold good teachers in such high respect. Well, here now they're actually, instead of not only are they cutting funding to education, they're costing money to education, and it's not even generating revenue on the other side. It's just wasted money that they're throwing in the trash because nobody's eating the food. And this is funding our government in these programs through September 30th next year.
Exactly. And, it's not a good idea in high schools to give them sugary drinks, to give them the junk foods. I agree with that. When I was in school, we had vending machines everywhere. And,
yeah, me too.
And we used the vending machines a lot. They weren't turned on during class. They would only turn them on during lunches and before and after school. But at the same time, we would go get Cokes. You wouldn't think anything of it. Throughout the day, you probably drink 3 or 4 Cokes.
We had an ice cream vending machine with ice cream
we
sandwiches
didn't have that.
and all that.
We were before that hit, and I don't even think there were the Dippin' Dots vending machines when I was still in school. But
it was pretty neat. You could watch it would lift up, and the cooler would lift up, and a robotic arm would go get your sandwich. They took it out after a year because it was unhealthy.
But and yes, it's not a good idea to do that. It's not a good idea to keep shoving GMO crap down kids' throats. I disagree with the schools that go out and get McDonald's to come in or Chick-fil-A to come in. There's one in Mount Pleasant.
We had Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
There's one in Mount Pleasant that has a Chick-fil-A restaurant in their school over there. Was it Wando? I think. Is it Wando High? I think that has the Chick-fil-A actually in their cafeteria.
Now,
and that kind of stuff I disagree with because that is feeding GMO junk foods to kids 24/7.
Now, I will say this.
We see the dangers with it.
Chick-fil-A, we know, is going to the farm-raised chicken.
Yes.
One of the things they do for the schools, Chick-fil-A, I just want to say this because...
as far as fast food goes, Chick-fil-A is one of the better ones that you can get.
The good thing about Chick-fil-A is they are all franchised.
Yes.
So it's up to the local Chick-fil-A's, and they get with the schools.
And you've never seen cases of pink slime or black fibers or plastics found in the food.
Exactly. And it's just that I would prefer that over the stuff that McDonald's does.
I would
you know
too.
What I'm saying?
Yeah,
at least it's community oriented.
Look at what you're getting into, though. You're still falling into this dialectic that they want us to have every 4 years of the lesser of two evils.
No, but that's
what you're falling into with this debate over McDonald's and Chick-fil-A.
No. What I'm saying is that I'm not against what they're doing in the community. What we need to do is push for the labeling, push to get the GMO out of the food so that they can't sell it to us.
Exactly.
It's not a bad thing what they're doing. It's bad the government allows them to get away with selling crappy products.
Why are our schools not teaming up with the cafeterias and the agriculture classes and getting fresh vegetables that the agriculture classes are growing and then serving them in the schools?
Maybe if the government would put the farmers out of business, they could do this kind of stuff.
Not even the farmers, but the kids growing them at schools. We had agriculture classes.
Absolutely.
We had a greenhouse.
Build a greenhouse.
When I was there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Grow those, then you can get fresh vegetables.
That's a great idea.
In the cafeteria.
And these are the government... these are the programs the government could give the schools some extra money for, and I wouldn't be against it. But instead... they're paying for Michelle Obama's lunch program,
which is giving.
Sucks.
Yeah, you get very small portions and tasteless tofu.
And did you see the funding for the pig virus research or whatever it is?
We got shrimp on treadmills, people. We got shrimp on treadmills.
This is what I'm talking about.
There's shrimp on treadmills.
The problem is we need a reorganization of the priorities. The spending is completely. That article had it right. Unrestrained. I like that word. It's out of control.
Been watching a lot of the '90s animated show Duckman.
That's a great show.
It is.
Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
Yep.
Been watching a lot of it. It was way ahead of its time.
Very far ahead of its time.
Very far ahead of its time.
USA. USA was ahead of its time.
I've been watching a lot of it, though, and it's so relevant now with a lot of the debates. This was a pre-9/11 show, so a lot of the stuff that they were talking about then as far as the government interventions, takeovers, torture, all of that, we didn't believe at the time was possible.
Yeah,
then
right,
after
right.
9/11, everything...
Not a live.
Yeah, we saw our Constitution shredded. Oh, we got to talk about that, too, Nick. Bringing that one up. Did you hear the new Hillary song?
Yeah.
Did it get you excited for 2016? The new Hillary, yeah.
Oh my God!
We'll play that later on in the show too.
A worse debacle of disgusting displays of artistic disgust I have never seen.
And of course, we've got something else we got to get into
Hillary,
today, Nick.
She's a mother. Go ahead. What is it?
Because we're on the eve of the 2-year anniversary, so we gotta bring that up as well. Great. There's a great Rob Dew debate that he had as well with Wolfgang Halbig and some jabroni from American Free Press. That was a great debate over it. But we're on the 2-year anniversary, the eve of the 2-year anniversary, Nick. So we got to bring this up at some point today.
Country lane, you need way more room because your heart's too big for your house.
It's been a long time. Oh yeah.
Elm tree sway for what you did that fateful day.
And now the school is covered with concrete.
Gene Rose and your heart's 110 feet tall. Your house won't work. It's way too small.
They've probably got him a new house by now. Probably
I hope he tells his goldfish pond. Because he deserves an ocean too.
I can't imagine the amount of money he made.
So we'll have to get into that. Like I said, I'm
production.
going to do a special report tomorrow on the Sunday Spin. We'll probably get into a little bit of it today, talking about Sandy Hook.
Yeah, I mean, it's been... I can't believe it's been that long. But it's been just a steady stream of corruption, scandals, economic failure. I mean, I don't know how to describe what's happened since Sandy Hook, but it's just been an out-of-control spiral that we've been in here in America. I mean, just look at this. Out of CNS News, Boehner spending deals have increased debt $3.8 trillion in 3.8 years. Mm-hmm. Well, at least he's consistent. Federal debt increased by $3.8 trillion in 3.8 years. That's incredible. That works out to $32,938.38 for every household in the U.S. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Really, to wrap up this segment, if you think everything's awesome, if you think America's awesome because we're out there torturing people and that being sold out by the GOP is awesome, you really, truly are an American idiot.
And something else that was ahead of its time because it's gotten a little bit more relevant as it's gone along here. So,
well, they definitely saw the path we were started down. And another great interview yesterday with Alex Jones and Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
I heard that on the way here.
Yeah, really great interview. Just talk about how so many people in the entertainment industry are awake because they're behind the curtain. They see this. They're being told you have to push this agenda or that agenda. You know, and really that's the way that you get into it. He made a great point about, you know, you're awake because this is your career. You're staring down the barrel of a gun with it.
Yeah, they try to keep people out. I mean, so there you go. That's why it's so important to spread the word. Listen to this broadcast. Help us.
You know, support patriotic bands like Suburban Myth. Support people that are doing patriotic comedy that are really trying to wake people up. We need more comedians like George Carlin, like Bill Hicks, like Cat Williams out there.
That's right.
Telling the truth, not just out there doing McNugget jokes.
All right, so we'll be right back. This is the Weekend Sit and Spin you're listening to Nick O'Kelly, Drew Howard, and we'll be right back.
I want to thank all the women's for listening to KineticHiFi.com.
We love it!
I know you do, baby. I know you do.
Hey, there's no shortage of folks out there who claim to be website designers, graphic artists. It seems like every day you hear about a new social media firm promising to optimize your website and social media visibility. What you may not know is that very few of these folks have the experience and talent necessary to fulfill their lofty promises. As a small business owner, you know every dollar spent needs to have an impact, and there's simply no better way to set your business up for success than to trust your online needs to Charleston's premier full production service, Advent Designs. Advent Designs has a history of success and customer satisfaction which is unmatched, and you can rest assured that your investment will see outstanding returns. Whether you need an intuitive new website, an eye-catching logo, a powerful new banner, or comprehensive social media campaign, Advent Designs is ready to help. Call Advent Designs today at 843-298-1619. That's 843-298-1619. Or visit the website at advent-designs.com. Advent Designs, the power of perfection. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, why is the computer so slow?
Internet connection?
It can't be the internet connection. We pay like $300 a month for that.
Holy chestnuts.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, I know.
Yeah.
So it must be. Let's look around here for a second.
All right.
Yeah. You know what?
What?
Where's this wire go?
That wire?
That wire.
I don't know. It looks new.
It does kind of look new, but then there's like 18 wires down there. Let's try plugging it in over here. What do you say?
No, not there. No, right here.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are you sure, Tom?
Positive. Plug it in.
All right, let's try that out.
Okay.
Don't be that guy. Instead, put your trust in ITSimplified.com. Cloud computing, data center servers, network management, Web 2.0, SQL, scalable architectures, programming, tech infrastructure, security, and anything else you shouldn't bother trying to figure out. Call 843-376-1991. That's 843-376-1991. ITSimplified.com. That's IT-simplified.com. Solutions simplified.
KineticHiFi.com.
That's really the problem I have with society right now. You know what? I don't mean to get off too much topics here, but we were talking about this Pootie Pie thing. Okay, and
South Park did it.
Yeah, and I was mentioning the Fred phenomenon that was on Nickelodeon. These shows, it's beyond at this point for me. It's no longer that they're just dumb. You know, it used to be like, oh, cartoons are dumb. Ha ha ha. And maybe back in my day they were just dumb. But I'm going to say so. I don't. The shows to me are not dumb anymore. They're crazy. They're weird. They're insane. They're like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's happening. I can't understand what's going on, and that scares me. I can't imagine what it must be like for a kid. So confusing because they just sit in front of. I mean, they sit in front of television all day. You know, and they see this kind of stuff. I mean, what are they how are they supposed to develop? It's like now how they say, you know, don't speak gibberish to your baby when they're growing up, right? Because they can't develop, they can't learn a language if you're talking baby talk to them all the time. Same thing here. If you
no, they can't learn a language because you're giving them fluoride baby water.
Well, no, but
I had to go buy bottled water the other day for work for my job. Just I had to get some gallon jugs, so I had to go buy some cheap water, and they had that sitting there on the shelf. Baby water now with fluoride to help your baby develop a brain. Okay. Not
well. That's what I'm saying.
Make your baby freaking 12 years old and laying on the floor staring at the ceiling fan drooling on himself.
Same thing. You know, you have physical stimulants for your baby when it's developing and mental ones as well. You know, you want to talk to them like a normal person. Well, with the with these shows, I have the same problem. I feel like these kids watch gibberish all day long, and how are they supposed to start to make any kind of mental connections, develop in any way when all they're watching all the time is complete gibberish like this Pootie Pie, and I don't even know what it is. All right, listen, I don't want to talk about it. Point being that society overall seems to be taking a strange turn. And I just don't understand where the lack of desire to turn society back around is. You know, like we were talking about this interview with Billy Corrigan. There's plenty of people out there that recognize that we have an issue, but yet we seem to continue on the same path. So how do we get it turned back around?
There's so many different levels, though, that we're fighting battles on right now. It's where do you start at? I mean, we're fighting battles against, as we've said, our food, our water. We're fighting battles against our society not allowing our natural beings to be. We have to genetically modify everything. We have to change everything. We have to make it ours. We have to patent it. We have to play God every chance we get. And that's what's really leading to the destruction of us. I mean, I've got the second part of an article I talked about last week on here called The Sexodus, about men giving up on dating, on marriage, on having a family, on meeting women, because the society's got so foobarred, is really the only expression I can use for it, to the point where it's impossible to date. And this article goes on to talk about how the top 20% of guys have access to 80% of the best women. Mm. It's becoming a 1%er case with dating. Mm. We're seeing that. We've sold ourselves out, and we've worshipped at the altar of the corporate God for so long now that corporate mentality of profits first is invading every form of life.
Yeah, well, you know,
I mean, where do we start to fight, huh? We need to start at the base. We need to take the fluoride out of the water. We need to take the GMOs out of the food, because those are making us docile. They're dumbing us down. They're over-estrogenating the population, causing cancers in women, causing men to develop breast cancers, causing men to lose their hair, to not be able to grow beards, to be over-estrogenated. And really, it's the feminization of America, thanks in large part to the industrial runoff from the pharmaceutical companies that are in our water supply, the BPAs in the plastic bottles.
That's probably a good place to. I think that's why a lot of people are starting to wake up, because the food supply is something that's personal to them.
Food and water is the place where we have to start, because that's the domino that when it falls, it gets everything else to start falling. You get away from the fluoride, you get away from the Prozac and the other industrial runoffs from pharmaceuticals that are in the water, and all of a sudden you get real human beings again. You don't get these drugged up, docile pigs that we become. We become back to wild boars. I've used that analogy time and time again in the 2 years we've been on the radio here. We are meant to be wild boars, rooting around in the ground, cutting things up with our tusks, not domesticated farm pigs sitting there hanging out with a spider and waiting for the farmer to put slop in our trough.
But then you have, once you get past that, then you have the issue like here we were talking about in the break with this, Lena Dunham thing. I just saw this in Breitbart.
Well, she's the reason why men are giving up on dating.
She exactly,
and her ilk.
Exactly. She says now, you see what she's come out now and said? After everything that's happened, with all of the with the journalists looking into the whole story and everything and saying it's all fake, she says, well, you know what, I'm not going to plan to pursue any charges against her alleged rapist. This is my choice, because I'm in a peaceful place in my life right now. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. She lied. Mm-hmm. She lied. In my opinion, she should not even be done. You're done, But we're still going to have to hear from her, because she's going to come out and say, well, I'm not going to press charges against the guy. And everybody will forget about it, Forget that she committed libel against this person. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if somebody that did that to you? So this is what I'm saying. Once you get the food supply and the water and all this, figured out, maybe people will start waking up to or be able to, derive the fact that this here is all just a bunch of crap, Mm-hmm. and stop falling for it, I guess.
Well, and let's look at these issues, though, of who's pushing it. We got...
How many books did she sell? I mean, God.
Exactly, and that's all a point to get her to sell books. But we've talked about time and time again about how the Obama administration wants to come out and talk about equal gender pay and about how wrong it is that women don't get paid the same as men for their positions. But yet we've shown countless cases over the past 6 years that the Obama administration has been in office where they routinely pay their female staffers less than their male staffers.
Exactly.
Hollywood, they're one of the biggest ones that's running around equal gender pay. You can't pay women less. What did the Sony email hack and the Sony hack reveal? That they're paying Jennifer Lawrence a lot less than her male co-stars.
Yeah, even though she's the one bringing in all the money.
Exactly. Why is it these organizations, these establishments that are out there screaming about these things, the ones that are doing it? Shouldn't they be leading by example? Shouldn't they be paying their women equal pay?
Look at this here. This is interesting, and I know we're kind of on an existential conversation here, but it's important. The conversation on Breitbart, another phony statistic bites the dust. Of course, one of the things that has been coming out with the Lena Dunham thing has been the women being raped in colleges in general, the stat for it.
Well, the whole Rolling Stone article at UVA was a lie.
Right, and they said that the Justice Department just published a study on the matter, and they found the actual figure to be not 1 in 5 women, like what they had said before, but rather 6.1 per 1,000. In other words, the percentage of co-eds exposed to sexual assault is 0.61%, not 20%. But that's what came out right after Lena Dunham's book thing and the whole rape thing came out was, 20% of women are raped in college. I mean, it's not surprising.
Yeah, well, that includes the morning after rapes.
Yeah, right.
Which, again, that goes to your discretion. You can't get a pass because you go out and make a bad decision that was your choice at the time to either A, get drunk, B, go home with somebody, or C, whatever else was the scenario that leads to it, and then the next morning you wake up with regret and try to cry rape.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another reason why men are giving up on dating.
And again, I'm not trying to bash women or anything like that, or anybody who has actually been raped, because obviously that's sad, but it has gotten out of hand with the you brought it up with this sexist article here. This is what I'm talking about. That you're right. I mean, men are giving up on women, for the access to porn and all this other stuff. But it's also because of this culture of you can't talk to a woman anymore. You can't be in a room alone with her.
Everything you do is sexist. Everything you do is racist. Yeah. Everything you do is rapey. Everything you do is. If you're a man, everything you do is wrong, that's what it's getting to.
That's right. It's getting to a point where if you're worried if you're in a room with her, and she gets mad at you, she can say that you raped her, and it's sad, but that's the culture we're creating, for better or worse. Is my point.
And it's a lot like the South Park kid abduction episode where they had to send all the kids away and get the Chinese guy to build the wall. And keep it out because they realized that all the kids were being abducted by their own family members. It's the same scenario there. Exactly. Once again, turn to South Park. Matt and Trey are the greatest satirist of the last 100 years. Hands down, easily. So much truth in that show.
Hey, here's an interesting quote from Rush. Cromnibus designed to eliminate the Tea Party.
And Palin says that it's horrible and she wants to call for... Palin says midterms nullified, calls for Boner's ouster, and rhino season opens soon.
We'll see if they actually hold to that. This is the weekend sitting.
You know what we need to do? We need to take all these rhinos out of Congress. Lindsey Graham, John Boehner, John McCain, all of these sellout scumbags. Send them to Jurassic World. Let's see if they survive.
Sell their ivory. All right, we'll be right back. KineticHiFi.com.
You're listening to KineticHiFi.com, baby.
Let's be honest, realtors are a dime a dozen. However, true real estate professionals are a rare find. You want somebody who's not only knowledgeable about the industry, but who understands on a personal level the home buying and selling process. You want somebody who knows what you want. Put down those yellow pages and throw away the refrigerator magnets. Your search for the perfect professionals is over. Personal experience is what really sets Mark and Patricia Fuchs apart. Respected and revered agents with Keller Williams Realty, Mark and Patricia Fuchs provide their clients with a courteous, professional, and personalized experience. Whether you're buying, selling, or just browsing, go ahead and call Mark and Patricia Fuchs at 843-425-0953. 843-425-0953. Or visit their website at markandpatriciafuchs.com. That's Mark and Patricia Fuchs, Fuchs.com.
At 164 King Street, find an oasis of calm, the Charleston Library Society, celebrating the written word, dedicated to enlightened thought within an atmosphere of gentility and learning. Established in 1748, it's the South's oldest cultural institution, and you're invited to visit. Come experience the elegant main reading room, our children's center, and join in to enjoy our speakers series, concerts, and other fine programs. Affordable membership is available now and always at the Charleston Library Society. Do you sometimes think life was just better when I was young? Maybe you're right. You know, there has been a marked decline in girls ages 8 to 14 that participate in Girl Scouting. And today we're looking for girls who are ready to be the leaders of tomorrow. Girls in this age group are vital to Scouting. They serve as role models for younger girls and uplift the community. And ladies, we need you to be that example too. Become a volunteer, a troop leader, or just enroll your daughter in Girl Scouts today. Call 843-552-9910 to learn more.
Thanks for tuning in to KineticHiFi.com. Stay tuned in. Thanks.
That's right. The burden of the proof is on the state. And
just to continue what we were talking about off the air there, we really need to get a camera in here and keep going on commercial breaks for our listeners, maybe on Spreaker or something. Just keep that going so you can hear the discussion, because we have great debates while we're on break. Some of our best stuff we say while we're on break, and I'm like, we really should say that while we're on the air. But we were talking about the Sandy Hook hoax, and I was telling again about this. It's an hour long, so I can't really play it. But it was a good debate that Rob Dew moderated between. I gotta look it up and find out what that jabroni from American Free Press's name was. But it was Wolfgang Halbig on one side, and this guy from American Free Press that he claims he's a conspiracy theorist, but he doesn't see any conspiracy at Sandy Hook. Right. And Wolfgang Halbig brought up the point about how dirty the school was. If you look at pictures in the actual report, there's mold, there's asbestos, there's lead paint. This is not a place that sounds like a school of distinction where people would move to Sandy Hook just to go to that school.
No,
it
sounded like
Newtown, Connecticut.
It sounded like something that needed to be condemned.
And that's the reason why they tore it down.
Yeah.
But, and we've
which makes sense when you keep asking, why did they tear it down and cement it over? Well, it was condemned. We've
talked again about how there's been no internet activity at the school since 2009. Everything looks like the school was shut down in 2009.
Exactly.
And there's been no work orders. They won't release the work orders. That's one thing that Wolfgang Halbig's asked for. How's that going to be a matter of national security to release what work orders were put in by the principal, assistant principal, custodians, things of that at the school to the district to get funding to fix issues? That's not going to reveal anything that's going to be hard for people to hear. It's not going to reveal anything that's going to be offensive, but yet they won't reveal that. And this guy was just discrediting it. He's like, well, just because the school's dirty doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I'm like, no, but that draws a lot of issues as to why the school's dirty.
Yeah.
Who would send their kids to a dirty school?
That's like saying, what difference does it make now? It makes a difference.
Exactly. It still does.
That's a crime scene. Hello.
They want to push all these straw man arguments out of the way. Like, oh, so the cops were sitting there in a crime scene eating. They set up a lunch buffet in the school. What difference does that make if they ate while they were investigating it? Who in their right mind is going to set up a buffet where 20 kids were supposedly killed?
They pulled
with the blood, with the body fluids from 20 kids being shot.
They pulled evidence out of the back of the car without gloves on. Hello?
I mean, there's enough of these questions. Yes, we don't have a smoking gun.
Here's your sign.
Yes, we have to add this up. And yes, a lot of this is circumstantial evidence that you have to draw your own opinion. But that's why we were given higher level thinking skills. That's why we were given logic. That's why we were given free will, is so we can draw these conclusions, so we can investigate things, so we can ask questions. Instead, as you heard from Fox News, they just want you to bury your head in the sand and believe America is awesome.
You know what?
Like it's still 1985 and we're all behind Rocky because he's going off against Ivan Drago.
I'm going to tell you what, though. I think there is a smoking gun, and to me, it's that piece of...
It's not the gun Adam Lanza used. No, that one's not smoking.
it's that piece of footage that I saw with my own two eyes that half of the nation saw, where the real shooters were running out of the elementary school into the woods. They chased them down. And it's never been spoken of again. I saw it. I saw that live on television, and I said right after that, I said, "What was that?"
Well, yeah, and then they want to bury that, just like they don't want you to talk about Building 7 and 9/11,
because that's the real shooter.
Yeah,
whoever that person was, I want to know what happened to that footage and who that was.
Oh, they arrested him, but then they said that there was nothing going on.
I bet he's dead.
The person that they arrested told to the camera as soon as he walked by, he said, "I didn't do it." Who says that?
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. It's weird. Track that footage down, and you've got an answer.
Oh, they've taken down now. There's a independent media something. I can't think of the last name of it. I got to look it up, but it's IMS is the name of it. Independent Media Syndicate Sanction something. I can't think of what the S stands for right now. I'm still early on a Saturday morning. I didn't have any coffee, folks. I don't know that I drink coffee, but still, it's a statement. But I didn't have anything caffeinated this morning. Let's put it that way.
That's why I was late. I was getting coffee.
But they put a 2.5 hour documentary where they took 10 different people, made 10 of the big YouTube researchers into Sandy Hook, made little vignettes, and they put them together about a different aspect of the case. One of them was the shooters in the woods. One of them was Robbie Parker, the school being a disaster, no internet access, the every key player in the Sandy Hook media realm of it got their house for $1 on Christmas Day, 2010.
Which is weird.
Yeah, the real estate transactions. They looked into every question that we have about it, basically. Put this nice 2.5 hour documentary together that YouTube is taking down every single day. They're taking it down. Look it up. There's a lot of articles out there. It's called We Need to Talk About Sandy Hook. And
I don't think I've seen that. I need to go watch that.
It's hard to find right now because they're censoring it so much.
Yeah.
Claiming copyrights on the pictures, things like that. Which who copyrights a picture that's in public record?
Well, that's all they can do.
Once it's been used, though, in the media, in public record, it's public record.
But that's why they're trying to sneak this internet control to the UN through with these different bills and so forth, because they want to be able to lock that down, and right now they can't. And that's the whole thing behind that whole indie. What is it? What is the name of that?
Net neutrality.
The net neutrality thing. That's what it's all about, and people don't understand that. They think it has more to do with the high level corporations. No, it has everything to do with your inability to receive and gather information any longer off that free market.
But Sony Studios just got hacked, Nick. We can't have the internet being a Wild West. I mean,
exactly.
Sony Studios. They made Spider-Man, Nick. Come on.
I'm starting to think, now maybe I'm wrong, but what do you think about this? I'm starting to think that some of these hacks are psyops because to justify...
I find it ironic
to justify the net neutrality.
I find it ironic that Sony got hacked the same week this torture report came out, when they were the ones that made that completely farcical movie Zero Dark 30 about the Bin Laden raid and how torture was such a great thing to kill Bin Laden.
Exactly.
You know the first joke, and you know this because you were at the show, but 3 years ago, September 9th, 2011, the first time I ever did stand-up comedy in public, the first joke I opened with was a 9/11 joke.
Yeah, right.
About why I can't believe that the Bin Laden story, and I was never one that bought into the 9/11 conspiracy really until that point. That's when I started asking questions, because the Bin Laden raid didn't make sense to me. And we're told after 10 years we can't find this guy. He's Carmen Sandiego, disappearing wherever, and we can't track him down. There's no doo-wop street band singing out there helping us find him. None of that sort of stuff. He's more disappearing than Carmen Sandiego all over the place. And when we found him, he wasn't in an evil lair. He wasn't in some cave in Afghanistan surrounded by evil stuff like Rottweilers and barbed wire and AK-47s and Celine Dion. He was in a crappy apartment in Pakistan, high, smoking a lot of weed. It's on record. He had a lot of marijuana plants there he was smoking, drinking Coca-Cola, eating Funyuns, watching American TV. As you mentioned, watching internet porn.
It was the Mandarin.
Yeah.
He was the Mandarin.
He was.
That's what that was modeled after.
Basically, yeah. Somebody... we're not going to go there. If you want to hear the joke, come out and see me do comedy, folks. I still do it from time to time. And the best compliment I ever got off of that joke was last year when we did the tribute show at Tin Roof. We did Famous Comedians Bits. They're setting up another one for this February. I'm very excited for it. I'm hopefully going to get in on it again. But I did Bill Hicks. Did some Bill Hicks bits. And... in the middle of it, I put my 9/11 joke in there right after the JFK bit. Continuing with the conspiracies. And another local comedian here, a very prominent local Charleston comedian, came up to me after I came off stage and was like, if I didn't know Bill Hicks died in 1995, I would have thought he wrote that bit.
Yeah.
Like, I captured the spirit that I was going for with that. And Bill Hicks was ahead of his time, folks. He really was. And you need to go back. You need to watch it because right now, is there any way now, after Boehner this week and the omnibus spending bill, the Cromnibus spending bill, whatever bus it is, the speed bus that can't drop below 55 miles an hour spending bill or whatever they're calling it now, is there any doubt that the puppet on the left and the puppet on the right are being controlled by the same person?
No, I mean that's what we were saying is that really this is the issue here. The Republicans are the ones that. They are the ones, right? We have control of it now. I say we. The Republicans have control of Congress. All they have to do is cut the funding to Obama to put a stop to all of this. And after he was completely repudiated in the last election, with the congressional election, you would think that that's what they would do. I mean, and this is why a lot of the commentators and so forth are starting to get upset. Even the talking heads on Fox and so forth that you don't normally hear getting upset are starting to criticize it, Sean Hannity and the rest of them, because they're saying, hey, look, we just hired you to cut off the purse, and they're not doing that. The whole point of Congress controlling the money is to keep the president from doing what he's doing, and they just funded him through next September.
Yeah, and you know why? Because they're scared, because they're afraid it's going to turn into last year with the government shutdown and how the media tried to blame it on the Republicans and make them look bad over the government shutdown. We had pictures of vets being kept out of memorials. We had all of that destruction that went on during the government shutdown last year, the supposed destruction. You've got the sad stories of Alaskan crabmen that can't go out because they can't get their permits due to the government shutdown. And they don't want another bad publicity stunt, is what they're claiming. They're afraid that they'll be blamed for a government shutdown if they don't pass all these bills that Obama asked them to pass. And then, in turn, by being accused of that, they're called racist.
See, here's the whole thing that I have a problem with. That we don't need the government. And when they shut it down, the only way for them to make it seem like we need them is to do these stupid stunts like not allowing people into a memorial and so forth. Because then, people get upset and they can blow it up in the media and make it look like it's a big deal. The bottom line is when they shut it down, that starts hurting their that's hurting their income. And if people were to realize, hey, they're not actually doing anything for us, we could shut off the funding and just rebuild here, they'd lose their jobs. So they don't want us to figure that out. They don't want us to see that, hey, government shutdown is not that big a deal. Most of these funded programs are unnecessary. Mm-hmm. But they don't want that to be the case, so they try to make it, quote unquote, as what did they say last year? They wanted to make it as hard for the American people as possible, or whatever it was. During the shutdown, right.
Yes, we've got Obama saying he wanted to make it as hard as possible on.
And that was not allowing people into forests and things. Who cares? But that's what you can blow up in the media and make it look like it's a real pain.
Mm-hmm. So The right is clearly afraid of the pictures of vets being kept out of their memorials again. And what did the vets do? They tore down the barricades. They went in there because they're ready to fight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what's going to happen. So that's why they just pushed this funding bill right
There
on
is
through.
an awakening. And this screw job that the Republicans gave the American people this week is waking a lot of people up. Like I said, I've seen people who are dyed-in-red Republicans talking about how great Lindsey Graham is, and you can't say anything negative about Lindsey Graham. He never meant that he wanted to bomb Charleston with a nuke, even though he said that, if we don't support ISIS, Charleston's going to get bombed by a nuke.
Yeah,
that's where I lost all respect for that man when he said that. But
nobody brings that up anymore.
No,
except us.
But people that were all behind him now are turning their tune. They push far enough, people are going to wake up, and to quote the great Owen Hart, they're going to scream, "Enough is enough, and it's time for a change."
That's right. That's right. I mean, it just it's very disappointing that they aren't putting a stop. That they just passed that funding bill with all of those federal programs in there, including that lunch thing. It just blows my mind.
And we're going to get into that when we get back, folks.
Blows my mind. But, this is what should show you, like we've been saying here. This is what should show you that the establishment Republicans are the real traitors. We know what Obama is. He said he was going to change the country. He's done it. And he didn't even sign that executive order. So we could put a stop to this entire fraud. It's just going to take our representatives doing what they said they were going to do.
Exactly. We just have to do it.
And now they're not, so we need to hold them accountable. And, I mean, it's so simple. But we've got idiots in office. All right, it's the Weekend Sit and Spin. We'll be right back. Stick around. More to come.
The rush hour.
That's right.
I will choose our path clear. I will choose free will.
Every day is a lovely day. Your kinetic high five, yeah. That's right, baby. You're listening to KineticHighFi.com. It's smooth.
It's so good loving somebody loves you back.
Hey, there's no shortage of folks out there who claim to be website designers, graphic artists. It seems like every day you hear about a new social media firm promising to optimize your website and social media visibility. What you may not know is that very few of these folks have the experience and talent necessary to fulfill their lofty promises. As a small business owner, you know every dollar spent needs to have an impact, and there's simply no better way to set your business up for success than to trust your online needs to Charleston's premier full production service, Advent Designs. Advent Designs has a history of success and customer satisfaction which is unmatched, and you can rest assured that your investment will see outstanding returns. Whether you need an intuitive new website, an eye-catching logo, a powerful new banner, or comprehensive social media campaign, Advent Designs is ready to help. Call Advent Designs today at 843-298-1619. That's 843-298-1619. Or visit the website at advent-designs.com. Advent Designs, the power of perfection.
Do you sometimes think life was just better when I was young? Maybe you're right. You know, there has been a marked decline in girls ages 8 to 14 that participate in Girl Scouting. And today we're looking for girls who are ready to be the leaders of tomorrow. Girls in this age group are vital to Scouting. They serve as role models for younger girls and uplift the community. And ladies, we need you to be that example too. Become a volunteer, a troop leader, or just enroll your daughter in Girl Scouts today. Call 843-552-9910 to learn more.
For the third year in a row, Condé Nast Traveler is named Charleston, South Carolina, the world's best city. Now, a radio station that brings Charleston to the rest of the world. You're listening to KineticHighFi.com.
Yeah, it does amaze me the things that people can come up with in a free world, in a free market, in a free place where they can be creative. And I would have never known. About the underground wrestling scene that was going on. I mean,
independent wrestling.
Independent. You watch it on television, and it's great, and I enjoy it. But I got into it recently. I didn't know that it happened regionally like that, and we went and saw the old school Jared Fritz that used to do the Healthy You here on Kinetic. Refs for it.
Yeah. Oh, he's a great ref, by the way.
He was great.
He reminds me a lot of young Charles Robinson.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun
out there. His distractions.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it. There was one team, the Washington Bullets, I think is what they're called, but it was a father-son team.
That was a father-son?
I'm pretty sure it was a father-son team.
I thought they were brothers.
May have been brothers. If it's brothers, it's a big age difference between them.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, maybe it is father-son.
I thought it was father-son, but maybe Jared got so distracted he allowed those two to pull a twin switch, which the younger one was very tattooed up. The other guy had no tattoos. Come on, man. But great suspending disbelief there, Jared, on that. Awesome job, ref, and I want to give a shout-out to him.
He's been telling us for a year at least
to come check it out.
Check it out. We did. It was worth every penny. 3 hours. It was a 3-hour show.
3-hour show,
and I was completely entertained. I was very sports entertained the whole time.
3-hour show. They got great villains, great bad guys in there. It was hard not to root for the bad guys there.
So definitely go check that out.
They'll be back in the Hanahan area on March 8th, I believe, is their next show.
And one thing I was really happy to see that did not go on there, Drew, and that was race baiting.
Yeah, it was a family-friendly show.
Yes.
It was very family-friendly. There were a lot of little kids there. One group right beside us with the little kids, that was great, just the chance that we got up between the groups and then the next bleachers over and us. Great chance there.
And there was mixed races there, and we were all getting along, and I'm so sick of the race baiting that's going on in our society right now. And of course I'm leading to, I don't know if you've seen this, but I thought we could at least move on from Ferguson until this week when Congress decided to protest.
And again, I'm so sick of this issue and them tying Ferguson and Eric Gardner together. Those are two separate events that should not be tied together.
Yeah, can you believe this?
I mean, and Ferguson.
Expand on that. Why?
People that
Why
look
not?
at Ferguson, and I've heard this from people of every race, every religion, every creed, every sexual orientation. I have a very diverse group of people I interact with on a daily basis, and I've heard this from pretty much every one of them. Ferguson, you ask questions about because it is not completely clear. Michael Brown punched the officer, started a fight, was violent, and you get violent with a cop, you run the risk of dying.
That's right. Well, or getting locked up or punched or something.
Yeah, exactly. There are questions. There are questions there about that one, and a lot of people feel like maybe he brought that on himself with his actions. And we've seen that. We've talked about the New Orleans Saints player that tweeted out it wasn't a skin problem, it was a sin problem. We've talked about this. The Eric Gardner case out of New York is reprehensible no matter where you stand. There's no reason why this father of 6 should have been choked to death for selling untaxed cigarettes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's no reason why he should have been arrested 9 times over the past 2 years for selling untaxed cigarettes. That shows you who our real enemy is. And I've said it time and time again. Brown, white, black, red, it doesn't matter. Our enemy is the Fed.
That's right. I mean, you go back to Andy Griffith and how many times Otis was in the slammer for the same thing. I mean, okay, so
yeah, but they've choked him out for being the town drunk.
Right. They don't kill him because he's a town drunk. They put him in the jail. I mean, look, I don't want to keep locking the same guy up for the same stuff, but we don't kill him for petty crime.
Exactly.
We don't kill him for anything unless it's justified.
Those officers should have been indicted in New York.
Yeah,
and the fact
absolutely.
that they weren't indicted is a travesty, is an injustice. And as I've said time and time again, I agree with the protesting in that case.
Right.
The Mike Browns, the Trayvon Martins, the Tamir Rice, the kid in Cleveland, yeah, it's sad that he pulled a toy gun and was shot, but you don't do that. If an officer tells you to put your hands up, you don't reach in your waistband and pull out a gun, toy or not. You're going to get shot if you do that.
But this is the one thing that the Hunger Games movie did get right, is the propaganda, because look at how they don't even emphasize the Eric Garner thing. This picture of Congress
is the hands up, don't shoot that's been proven
that's
false.
That's the icon. That is now the icon.
It's a fake icon.
Fake. Right. That's the whole thing. It's complete propaganda. People have now bought into the bandwagon of whites versus blacks over the Michael Brown issue. They can now blanket anything else that they want to into that category.
And the reason why is because the the Michael Brown case is going to galvanize.
Yeah, exactly.
The Eric Gardner case will pull everybody together. Oscar Grant will pull everybody together because that's unjustifiable. I've got another case of a guy in Georgia that was shot in the back during an arrest. Georgia man killed in drug raid was face down when shot in the head, says family's lawyer. David Hooks, a Georgia man killed in a SWAT raid on his East Dublin home in September, was shot in the head and back while face down on the ground, according to his family's attorney, Mitchell Shook, who cited EMS and hospital records as evidence. One was to the side of the head, the other was in his back, and one was in his left shoulder. Based on the evidence we see, we believe that David Hooks was face down on the ground when he received those last 2 shots. So, here's another case of cops out of control. We're not saying that cops don't get out of control. I had a run-in this week with a cop at my day job because of an issue that occurred there. And one of the cops was super awesome. There was one that this nice guy, didn't get his name, a skinny guy, really nice. The other one was roided up, ready to snap somebody's neck. He had
a lot of them
buffing up at everybody, and he was the one that was a jerk to me.
Yep.
I wasn't involved with this. I witnessed a joke that got out of hand at work, basically, is the way to put it. One person was just being a sensitive little... Oh, I can't say that because that would actually be derogatory in this case. No, that would be derogatory in this case. He was being...
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So...
a douche.
Yeah, that'll work for it.
Okay.
And he got upset over a joke. And everybody in there that saw it thought it was a joke. You know, I made a joke off of it because I thought it was a joke. And one of the cops that comes in to deal with the situation is all very abrasive, very jacked up on roids. He's huge. He looks like a WWE superstar, and he's an idiot. Standing there, he's like, well, what did you see? And I tell him, you know, what I saw. I thought it was a joke. I walked off. I've given my written statement to the company by this point for HR because they needed it. So I was like,
you didn't do anything.
No.
Okay.
No, I witnessed something between 2 other employees.
Right.
So, you know, I had to write a statement for corporate and for HR. I was like, you can read my statement I've given HR. Then he's like, well, what's your address? What's your phone number? I'm like, the company has all that on file. If you need to contact me, you can contact me through the company. You're not getting that. And finally, the other cop was like, yeah, we can just contact him here at the store. He's nothing. He's not a suspect. He didn't do anything. Yeah. And I don't want them showing up at my place over this.
No, absolutely not.
You know,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, if anything, I was more mad at the guy that called the cops because he put everybody's life in danger, especially when a roided up thug cop shows up.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. He wants your phone. But see, that's how they are. They don't know what they're doing.
It's like, let me see your ID. Let me see your phone.
Yeah, these guys are loose cannons put out there, and they have no idea. The training is probably subpar. You know, and that's the problem. You have an old school group of cops that are awake, that are dying out, unfortunately. Not dying, but being retiring.
They're running out.
They're running out.
It's the same thing we're seeing with teachers in education because of Common Core.
The new group is getting a completely different set of training, completely different. Police academy's different now. That's what I'm saying. Now you have a new group of cops that think on a different level than what we're used to.
I've not seen a cop that can do sound effects since like 1983.
But seriously, I mean, you know,
Police Academy.
I just wonder what the training is like now for cops now that they are taking into account, you know, with the Southern Poverty Law Center and all this stuff with the riot gear and all this. I mean, that must change.
Militarization.
That has to change the face of your training if you're going into law enforcement. Because it used to be you were a beat cop, and I really do think that we should get the cops out of the cars. You know, have the cops. Put the cops in cars on the highways. But in the cities, get them out of the cars.
It's great. I do like seeing bike cops downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a lot more approachable. They're a lot friendlier for the most part.
As many cops as there are in this town, you could put a beat cop around the city. I know it's big, but that doesn't matter. Like I said, highways, okay, sure. Put the sheriffs out there, whatever. Because there are people that endanger others on the highways with reckless driving and so forth, and you wanna watch for that. But I have such a problem with speed traps. Last night, man, I was on my way home, and in a 3-mile radius.
It's revenue.
You know, I passed like 4 different cops parked. Let me tell you one story. I was on my lunch break heading back to work yesterday, and I drove by. I was driving down Ladson Road, neighborhoods on each side. Cop parked at a stop sign in one neighborhood. I drive past him. I was probably going maybe 5 over. He pulls out. I go by. One more car goes by. He pulls out, okay? 2-lane road. He gets in the lane opposite me and speeds up in front of me, turns his lights on like he's going to pull the cop over here over. Then that car pulls over, so he slows down behind me, gets behind me, with his lights still on the whole time, gets over in the other lane again, lets the car behind me go around, then pulls that car over. Dancing around with his lights on.
That's more dangerous than going 5 miles over.
Having different people pull over. What the heck is he doing?
It's very dangerous. And I'm going to play this video. We played it on here a few times. It's been a while, but it's the guy in New Hampshire, the former Marine, that talks about after the Boston bombing how the militarization of the police.
Yeah.
How all the equipment's the exact same stuff he used in Iraq.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got this video. Let's play it real quick. Just talking about because it brings a great point on the militarization of the police. What kind of training are they receiving? You know, they're not being trained like our military officials, but yet they're getting the same equipment. You know, this is literally, you want to use the analogy of giving a child a gun. That's a lot of what this analogy would be meant for. Is you're giving, you know, weapons, missiles, rocket launchers, all kinds of high-powered rifles and stuff to people who aren't trained.
And I'm not saying cops aren't capable. What I'm saying is cops aren't meant to be military.
It doesn't matter if they're capable or not. They shouldn't be. We have posse comitatus in this country.
Yeah, so why give them military training when that's not what they are?
I heard this was going on, so I just wanted to get it. Thank you very much. What's your name, sir? Where are you from? Humanities. Pete Martino from Epsom. Thank you. You don't need this. You really don't. I was a colonel. I'm a retired colonel in the Marine Corps. I saw a sign back there that said, we want more Mayberry and less Fallujah. And I spent a year in Fallujah. And you know what? When I first got there, I didn't have armored Humvees, and I traveled over 10,000 miles over there. And sometimes you got to deal with and go with what you have. And so that's part of the job, for one. The second thing is, when I was in Iraq, I was in charge. I was the Ministry of Defense coordinator. My job was to man, train, and equip the Iraqi army in Al-Anbar, Najaf, Karbala, and northern Babil provinces. And I can tell you right now, well, somebody had the great idea to get rid of the Iraqi army, so when we rebuilt it, we did everything we could to make it as strong as possible. And I'll tell you right now, Homeland Security would kick their butts in a week. What's happening here is we're building a domestic military because it's unlawful or unconstitutional to use American troops on American soil. So what we're doing is we're building a military. My best friend, who's a SWAT officer in Nashua, who came to Iraq with me to train the Iraqi police, sent me an email with a picture of him in the media on the streets of Watertown, Mass., wearing the exact same combat gear that we had in Iraq, only it was a different color. And the way we do things in the military is called task organization. You take a command, and then you attach units to it in order to accomplish the mission. What's happening is Homeland Security is pre-staging gear, equipment, consistent. What they're trying to do is use standardized vehicles, standardized equipment. I saw a picture in the Boston Globe during the marathon bombing where there was a state police officer, actually there were two officers, they both had identical helmets, flak jackets, weapons, everything I wore in Iraq, only it was all blue. The officer on one side had a big patch on his back that said Massachusetts State Police. Another officer next to him, his patch said Boston Police. And so what we're doing here, and let's not kid about it, we're building a domestic army and we're shrinking the military because the government is afraid of its own citizens. The last time more than 10 terrorists were in the same place at one time was September 11th, and all these vehicles in the world wouldn't have prevented it, nor would it have helped anybody. So I don't know where we're going to use this many vehicles and this many troops. Concord is just one little cog in the wheel. We're building an army over here, and I can't believe that people aren't seeing it. Is everybody blind? That's all. I'll take
You know, he makes a great point there.
Yeah, talking about how it's exactly, saw a picture of the Boston bombing, and they're wearing the exact same stuff that his troops wore in Iraq. Sitting right beside the exact same MRAPs. The only difference is they're painted blue instead of black.
Yeah, when they start driving up in armored vehicles, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is something that America has never seen on its streets. And it started with putting cops in armored vehicles, even though they were cars, still armored cars with shotguns and armed to the teeth.
SWAT, yeah. And think about where that really sprung out of and where that started. It started from the war on drugs.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which, meanwhile, our CIA has been reviewed. Gary Webb, 20 years ago, breaking it, that our CIA is running the drugs into this country.
Well, if you look at you know, East Side Los Angeles or whatever, you know, maybe it is very justifiable to give a cop an armored car, but then you have to take yourself out of that situation and look at who's funding the other side of it, and that's where you realize, holy cow, we've done this to ourselves. And just like we're funding both sides of the war in Iraq, they're funding both sides of the war here in America.
Yep. And I haven't seen Kill the Messenger yet. I really want to. I've heard Jeremy Renner did a great job with that movie. The one about Gary Webb, and really just the whole destruction of his character after he broke the CIA documents showing that we were running the drugs into this country. We were supplying, he had the connections with Freeway Ricky Ross. And I've yet to see Kill the Messenger. I really need to see it. I've heard it's a great film.
And here's another one right here. You were talking about cop articles about cops. Buffalo cop suspended without pay for beating that was caught on camera. So you see that perfect evidence given here. A Buffalo police officer. There was a video recorded by a local news videographer who was on the scene. Cop completely out of control, beating this guy up with a nightstick, then ordered him to stand up and beat him again. And because it was on camera, they had to punish him.
No, so they didn't have to. I mean, we got Eric Gardner on camera. But
what I'm saying is they suspend him without pay. I mean, that's a vacation. Fire him.
Exactly.
He's not capable of being a cop.
Yeah, and have you seen now where they're doing the cameras? They're pushing. We've talked about this. How they're pushing for the cameras in wake of Ferguson for every police to wear a body camera. Yes, that sounds good. It's a double-edged sword, though.
Yeah, well, it is.
It sounds good, but they're going to have facial recognition on that software. It's going to be the end of privacy. It's going to be another case of Big Brother watching you.
But see, that's what we've. But again, unfortunately, that is the unintended consequence of allowing police forces to get out of control.
And see, we have to start thinking about the unintended consequences on things.
Yes,
we can't look at things linear
because now we're in this mess.
Yeah.
We are in a mess now where the cops are out of control, and we got to rein it in somehow. And now you see that the only way to even punish them is if it's on camera.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I just got to say again, I am pumped up for a movie coming out next summer, Jurassic World.
That's going to be cool.
It's going to be really cool. The trailer looks awesome. It got me back rereading the first Jurassic Park book. I'm going back and rereading it. I'm going to reread The Lost World next. And, when I first read Jurassic Park, I was in probably 6th, 7th grade at the time. I was young.
That was around the time, probably,
and
when it came out.
Yeah, but the book and the movie are completely different. I didn't have the base level to really understand a lot of the genetic engineering things that were going on in the book. I thought it was a cool book because it talked about dinosaurs, but a lot of the actual debate that the book brings up about whether you should or shouldn't, not the ability to create a dinosaur, but whether you should.
Yeah.
And then the whole chaos theory within Malcolm and the breakdowns, the iterations.
Michael Crichton is incredible.
Yeah, the book gets into a lot more of that than the movie did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
well, he's a scientist.
Yeah, and it's really proving to the point of this is almost to the chaos theory level of it. It's the unintended consequences. We want to look at things so linear that we don't see the reactions that's going to be caused by this. And that's what the whole chaos theory really broke down into, is what is going to be caused. What little variables cannot be contained,
Exactly.
And it gets into that. And this is the unintended consequences. We give cops cameras to police them, but what is it really going to do? It's going to turn back and be a double-edged sword used against the public, because now it's going to be facial recognition. It's going to be more tracking you like the vehicle trackers that are already on the cop cars that read your license plate and track. Oh, you go to Mount Pleasant twice a week. You go to North Charleston once a week. You go here. You go there.
Like I said, that's where we really have to start picking our battles, because our cars have that information anyway. So,
you save on your car insurance if you're willing to put a GPS tracker in to let them know where you go.
Right. So we
save on Progressive.
We have to fight the battle of, we got to rein the cops in, and then we've got to go to battle with the federal government to stop putting us in a database with this information that's out there anyway. Technology has created a system where our information is out there. We can either have people use it or not use it.
I'm going to play a bit of a Mark Dice video here. I don't know if we'll play the whole thing. It may push this break a little bit back depending on how much we play of it. But it's a Mark Dice video talking about the new police body cameras will be facial recognition scanners, and it really gets into the unintended consequences and double-edged sword. Another great report by Mark Dice. If you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel, I highly suggest subscribing to it. Watch a lot of Mark Dice stuff throughout the week. He does a great job, particularly with pulling back the Illuminati. His books, Illuminati Fact and Fiction. You can find it on Amazon. I'm giving Mark Dice a lot of plugs today, but we'll go ahead and we'll play this video real quick for it.
Yeah, it's a moral high ground.
Police departments across the country have been beta testing POV cameras, point of view cameras, or body cameras as they're sometimes called, which are literally mounted sometimes on the head of the officer or on their shoulder or on their chest to get video and audio of their interactions with the public, with suspects, and to document their arrests to supposedly help keep them accountable and to prevent them from abusing their power and just beating people senseless. And many people support this. Many people think that this will help to reduce dramatically police brutality and the police from abusing their power, which it will. But this is a double-edged sword, continuing to inch us along into the Orwellian nightmare. And I'll tell you why in just a second. By the way, Michael Brown's parents have been pushing for police across the country to be equipped with these POV point-of-view cameras. And apparently the police officers in Ferguson now are already wearing them. Again, they falsely believed that their son was, quote, murdered. And if the police officers were wearing a point-of-view camera, then the Ferguson Festival madness would have never erupted because it would have shown that the 6'4", 300-pound thug viciously attacked the police officer trying to get his gun just minutes after committing a felony strong-arm robbery. But it's a whole other story. The reason why this is a double-edged sword, and I'm not denying that this will not dramatically reduce police brutality, police abusing their power, but it's also going to prevent the police officers from making judgment calls and letting people off from minor or even somewhat serious infractions, making a judgment call. For example, you get pulled over, you're speeding, you're going 7 miles an hour over the limit, you're late to work, to your minimum wage job, and you're, 20-year-old jalopy that's inching along the freeway. You're technically speeding because you're going to get late because you don't want to get fired because you had to take care of something. And so sometimes police officers will let you go if you can give them a good story, and if you don't mouth off to them. They do make judgment calls and realize sometimes people don't deserve the tickets even though technically they're violating the law. So if, and when probably, these POV cameras are standard, the police officers are no longer going to bend the rules in your favor. They're no longer going to let you go if you can give them a good story or if they can see that you clearly would be devastated by a $500 speeding ticket and they have your insurance jacked up and going to be late for work, etc. Because they're going to be worried that their supervisors are going to be monitoring their interactions. And they're going to get in trouble themselves for letting somebody off for giving a good story. And here's an article on Yahoo Tech, 3 questions to ask before putting cameras on cops. And it raises some interesting questions about whether or not the footage will be viewed retroactively to find information or supposed evidence that the officers may have missed in their interactions. But this is just the beginning. These POV cameras will soon be equipped with facial recognition scanning systems. So the officer will be able to identify anybody who they're talking to without even asking for your ID. And, of course, they'll be cataloging who they're interacting with and where you are, etc.
There it is, facial recognition and cataloging. It's all about tracking you. It's still a tracking system.
Scanning
well, like I said, the thing is, everything is a database. So at this point in our technological society, the battle is not against the technology. The battle is against the programs in place that make use of it in the wrong way, that infringes on your rights. And databasing who they're interacting with would be infringing on your rights. Now, having it tell them who you are wouldn't necessarily do that. I mean, you could have Google Glasses and do the exact same thing. So, again, the point is we need to pick our battles, and I do agree that there is potential for a double-edged sword, but like we've said, we've created this monster now. Mm-hmm. We live in this society because we've gotten to this point. So now we need to either decide freedom or slavery.
Yep.
If we decide freedom, we go to battle against the people who are using this for nefarious reasons.
And here we got a case of a cop not truly being evil, but just being a moron coming out of Chippewa Falls. Did you see this article? Man speeds to hospital for asthma attack. Police stop him and won't let him go. He dies. Instead of escorting him to the hospital so his life could be saved, police detained him for nearly 10 minutes. And you know what makes me the most upset out of the Eric Gardner case is we've seen all of these cops on TV, on the talking head stations, on Fox News, on MSNBC, on CNN. They've all been interviewing cops about it. And every one of the cops has said, well, I have people all the time that tell me I can't breathe. I don't take them seriously when they say they can't breathe anymore because they'll tell me that. They'll say my arm hurts when I put handcuffs on them. Well, maybe that's because you're choking them. Maybe that's because you are twisting their arm and hurting them.
Yep.
You know, if somebody says they can't breathe, I don't care if you've heard it 100 times.
When they start turning blue, you need to do something.
Fake, yeah. What about that one time when it's real and you have somebody that dies, like Eric Gardner, like Casey Crescent here? A disturbing raw video has surfaced online showing a police pull over a desperate man in need of medical assistance and causing his death over a traffic violation. The footage comes from a police dash cam video on November 30th. Casey Crescent was pulled over for speeding and failing to stop at a traffic light. It turns out that Casey was having an asthma attack and was rushing to a nearby hospital. He's having an asthma attack. He's going to die if we don't let him get to the hospital, the driver, Leah Hernowicki, said. So he wasn't even driving. He was being driven. Instead of escorting him to the hospital so his life could be saved, police detained him for nearly 10 minutes. Casey can be seen kneeling on the pavement. Help, please, Casey said, pleading for his life. Can't we just go? I would have made it there by now, the driver said to the officer. But the officer, being a typical low IQ authoritarian statist, this is a Filming Cops article. It's not even written by an InfoWars person. That did sound like a not really a Paul Joseph Watson statement there, but I'd say Kit Daniels type statement. He likes to write that kind of stuff. So, but would still not let them go, even though the hospital was just 2 miles away. The officer called for an ambulance, which took nearly 6 minutes to arrive. The officer himself then refused to administer medical aid to Casey, lay dying on the ground, stating he would have to wait for the ambulance, which would have oxygen for him. Had not been for the cop, he would have already been at the hospital. The cop continued detaining them by force as Casey's life was slipping through the cracks. The ambulance finally arrived, and another 2.5 minutes passed for medical personnel to strap Casey in the ambulance. The cop finally allowed them to leave. Unfortunately, it was too late. Casey was pronounced dead at the hospital thanks to the callous and mindless actions of the cop.
Unbelievable. But we see these type of things every single
day. So
day.
that just goes on to show you, if you're going to the hospital and a cop gets behind you, don't speed up because then they'll say you're evading, but you can continue driving at a reasonable speed until you get to the hospital.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing if you get pulled at night, you can drive to a well-lit area before you stop. Oh, you'll have cops that will try to say you're running from them, things like that, but you're not. As long as you don't speed or make evasive actions, you have every right to do that. The courts have upheld that time and time again because it is your safety. And when you're dealing with police officers, you need to think about your safety first.
That's exactly right, because you don't know who they are any more than you know who a guy who runs up to your window with a gun is. It doesn't matter. It's just some
Think
guy.
about it that way. It's just another guy with a gun.
That's right. His boss ain't with him. His lieutenant or whatever captain's not sitting in the car with him.
In the Eric Gardner case, the sergeant was there on scene. She was the one standing in the doorway watching the whole time.
That's unfortunate, but
so, yeah, don't say their boss isn't with them because sometimes their boss is there and you'll still end up dead.
But that's why you have to take precaution. All you can do is take precautions. We'll be right back. It's the Weekend Sit and Spin. Stick around.
Thanks for tuning in to KineticHiFi.com. Stay tuned in. Thanks.
Your business not going right? Don't know how to advertise? Come holler at your boys right here at Signs to See. We specialize in all your advertising needs. You need t-shirts, business cards, signs, banners. We got it all. Car magnets, decals, flyers. We got it all for you right here at Signs to See. Conveniently located at 937 Wapo Road, Suite 2B. You can also call us at 843-608-0722. You got a family reunion, you got a class reunion, and don't know how to get your t-shirts done? Well, call Signs to See. Signs to See is conveniently located at 937 Wapo Road, Suite 2B. Also, you can call us 843-608-0722. Or you can log on, SignsToSee.com. And I do all my business with Signs to See.
At 164 King Street, find an oasis of calm, the Charleston Library Society, celebrating the written word, dedicated to enlightened thought within an atmosphere of gentility and learning. Established in 1748, it's the South's oldest cultural institution, and you're invited to visit. Come experience the elegant main reading room, our children's center, and join in to enjoy our speakers series, concerts, and other fine programs. Affordable membership is available now and always at the Charleston Library Society.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, why is the computer so slow?
Internet connection?
It can't be the internet connection. We pay like $300 a month for that.
Holy chestnut.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, I know.
Yeah.
So it must be. Let's look around here for a second.
All right.
Yeah. You know what?
What?
Where's this wire go?
That wire?
That wire.
I don't know. It looks new.
It does kind of look new, but then there's like 18 wires down there. Let's try plugging it in over here. What do you say?
No, not there. No, right here.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are you sure, Tom?
Positive. Plug it in.
All right, let's try that out.
Okay.
Don't be that guy. Instead, put your trust in ITSimplified.com. Cloud computing, data center servers, network management, Web 2.0, SQL, scalable architectures, programming, tech infrastructure, security, and anything else you shouldn't bother trying to figure out. Call 843-376-1991. That's 843-376-1991. ITSimplified.com. That's IT-simplified.com. Solutions simplified.
For the third year in a row, Condé Nast Traveler has named Charleston, South Carolina, the world's best city. Now, a radio station that brings Charleston to the rest of the world. You're listening to KineticHiFi.com.
See the collapse of the New Republic happening? Chris Hughes is the New Republic. Our liberal dream team has finally hit rock bottom, it seems.
Well, I mean, MSNBC is having a lot of issues there. What was the Ronan Farrow or whoever, the guy that was supposed to be so good?
I think that's this guy's partner.
Like fell, yeah.
Yeah, that's Hughes' partner, I think.
He's down now. I mean, anybody they're putting on is just losing face. I hate to say it, but it's going to soon be their longest running show host is going to be Al Sharpton.
But that shows the repudiation not only of the Obama administration and the liberal agenda in this country, but the mainstream media that just consistently continues to lie to the American public and misinterpret information and misrepresent events happening, such as this Michael Brown situation, the Eric Gardner situation, the Sandy Hook situation that we've talked about this morning. I mean, I get tired of turning on CNN and MSNBC and so forth and hearing nothing but how just constant race baiting and Michael Brown was this and that. Look at the evidence. Like you said earlier, the burden of the proof is on the state.
Yeah, and David Clark, we've talked about him several times on here. He's the Milwaukee County Sheriff up in Wisconsin. We've talked about him several times about how he's been for gun rights. Says everybody in his district needs to be armed because there's places that he just can't get to. Him and his officers can't get to, and it's better to have your own safety there. And he's come out. There's an Adon Salazar article on InfoWars right now. Black Sheriff Obama's racial divide and conquer strategy destructive for America. Again, this is Milwaukee Sheriff David Clark. The Obama administration's divide and conquer strategy may have enabled the president to secure two successive White House victories, but the fallout has been destructive for America, according to David Clark. Discussing the results of a Fox News poll in which a majority of respondents said they believe race relations have grown worse under Obama, Sheriff Clark told Megyn Kelly that he blamed the president for fanning the flames of racial division in wake of the controversial grand jury decisions in Ferguson and Staten Island. He built that, and being the president of the United States, Sheriff Clark told Kelly, remember that statement. You didn't build that? Well, he built this racial divide. It was a wound that had been healing for a number of years, a number of decades, I should say, and he reopened it with his divisive policies. Doesn't look like I got the actual video. Let me see if I can find that. We can play a clip of the video.
Well, while you're finding that, I mean, I just want to make the point that it goes so much further beyond racial divide in this country right now, too. It's divide and conquer in general, race being only one of the things. I mean, we talked about the Chris Hughes and the Ronan Farrow thing. Liberal versus conservative is another divide going on in this country. The two-party system is a fraud. And like we keep saying, it's the same person controlling the two sides. It's not one person. I mean, it's special interests, it's corporate corporations, it's globalists.
It's an integrated financial system.
Right. It's corporate bankers and offshore bankers and so forth that are basically extracting money out of the U.S. through all of this pork barrel legislation and fraud. I mean, that's why Obamacare is legislation. They can hide things in legislation and buy off congressmen to push it through.
Well, they didn't even have to buy them off. You had Nancy Pelosi saying we got to pass it to find out what's in it. And now that they're finding out what's in it, she was going, that wasn't supposed to be in it.
Well, that's the thing. They're all,
if you read it, you would have.
They're all blackmailed and they have plausible deniability. That's the whole point. They know exactly what's going on. They know what's coming. What they say out in the media is just a bunch of fraud. And that's what I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it just. Eventually, we have to realize that the system is what's working against us. And we have to realize that we choose freedom and stand up against. You know, people keep saying, well, we can't just vote for the Tea Parties because then they'll just take votes away from the Republicans. Well, if the Republicans is a globalist in there, then it doesn't matter.
Again, it falls to the lesser of two evils debate, which I disagree with completely.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's ridiculous, but we have to have people realize that the system is the problem.
Yeah.
It's not John Boehner. We could put someone just like him in there tomorrow. Okay, the system is what is corrupting, and we have to change that. You know?
Yep. Until we change that, we're not going to have a better tomorrow.
And the establishment is falling apart. Like we said, collapse of the New Republic, that's not all of it. Rat problems worsens at the World Trade Center offices of Condé Nast. We've heard about the situations at CNN and how that building is just in complete disrepair. The establishment is falling apart. It's Humpty Dumpty. And they can't put it back together except by frauding the public into believing it still is worth something. That it's still, you still should be listening to CNN, even though cable is dumping them across the board. They're not even on some satellite systems anymore. But yet they would have you believe that they are still the powerhouse here, Anderson Cooper out in front. And all the while, Congress is standing there holding their hands up, protesting the deaths of Michael Brown. I just can't believe that.
Well, LeBron's doing it too.
Playing right into it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If we want to change things, folks, we got to start asking the questions and finding the leaders who will get closer to the heart.
That's exactly right.
The men who hold high places must be the first to start, to form a new reality closer to the heart.
And we close it out here, the Rush Hour, with that sentiment by Rush, one of the greatest bands ever. This is the weekend.
Even if they are Canadian.
Well, you know, we don't hold that against him. So is Michael J. Fox. This is the weekend sit and spin. We've got hour number 3 coming up next. Gone over quite a bit this morning. Not sure what direction we're going next. But there's still a lot to go over. So we'll get back to it when we get back. Hour number 3. This is KineticHiFi.com and the weekend sit and spin. Stick around.
Philosophers and plowmen, each must know his part to sow a new mentality, closer to the heart, yes, closer to the heart.
You're listening to KineticHiFi.com, baby.
Hey, there's no shortage of folks out there who claim to be website designers, graphic artists. It seems like every day you hear about a new social media firm promising to optimize your website and social media visibility. What you may not know is that very few of these folks have the experience and talent necessary to fulfill their lofty promises. As a small business owner, you know every dollar spent needs to have an impact, and there's simply no better way to set your business up for success than to trust your online needs to Charleston's premier full production service, Advent Designs. Advent Designs has a history of success and customer satisfaction which is unmatched, and you can rest assured that your investment will see outstanding returns. Whether you need an intuitive new website, an eye-catching logo, a powerful new banner, or comprehensive social media campaign, Advent Designs is ready to help. Call Advent Designs today at 843-298-1619. That's 843-298-1619. Or visit the website at advent-designs.com. Advent Designs, the power of perfection.
At 164 King Street, find an oasis of calm, the Charleston Library Society, celebrating the written word, dedicated to enlightened thought within an atmosphere of gentility and learning. Established in 1748, it's the South's oldest cultural institution, and you're invited to visit. Come experience the elegant main reading room, our children's center, and join in to enjoy our speakers series, concerts, and other fine programs. Affordable membership is available now and always at the Charleston Library Society.
I want to thank all the women's for listening to KineticHiFi.com.
We love it!
I know you do, baby. I know you do.
I think the puppet on the right shares my beliefs. I think the puppet on the left is more to my liking. Hey, wait a minute. There's one guy holding up both puppets. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control. Here's Love Connection. Watch this and get fat and stupid. By the way.
And welcome back. This is the Weekend Sit and Spin. I'm Nick O'Kelly. Drew Howard here with me.
And again, after the Cromnibus spending bill this week, do you need any more proof that Bill Hicks was correct there when he says that they're both controlled by the same person? It's two puppets being controlled by the same person?
That's exactly
for our
right.
American political system. I got the video here we referenced right before the break. Sheriff David Clark from Milwaukee County on Megyn Kelly talking about how Obama says you didn't build your business, but he's claiming Obama really built this racial divide in this country.
Oh. Yeah, well, he did. I mean, the thing is, it was probably, there was potential for it. Just based on the history there, it needed an igniter because people had gotten over it.
Exactly.
And so
Obama
he has been that ignition.
He was elected to move us past that, to get into a post-racial term in America. And instead, it's went the opposite route. Like everything else the man has touched, it's went to crap.
That's right.
It's went to a big stinking pile of BS.
Speaking of touching things and them going to crap, I just want to interject this real quick because we mentioned this earlier that King James met with the royal family. Did you know that there's a tizzy going on?
Yes. All of England's upset that he put his arm around her when they took a picture. I commented on that earlier.
That's pretty good. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I just
England
saw that.
is very upset about it.
Yeah,
and apparently she's pregnant again. So
they're evidently very, very upset. And if you look at this picture, she looks like she's very uncomfortable. That's crazy to me that these people are on such a high pedestal. Putting your arm around somebody when you take a picture, that is an American tradition.
Yeah, but it's not a tradition for
9 foot
tall lizard people.
Right. So you're going to come over here to America, and that's a gesture of friendliness. And
you'd never see David Icke put his arm around her. I'll just say that. I do feel bad for Kate Middleton. I feel like she's going to be another Princess Di. They're going to breed her for a couple of kids, and then they're going to kill her. That's what the royal family does. There's a reason why there's all these reports. Not that I buy that. That's some of the conspiracy theories that I can't get into is the fact that, they're 9 foot tall lizard people. I think they really are humans. They're very sick, evil, twisted humans. I mean, again, the royal family's German. They're not even British.
Yeah, I think it's very unfortunate. She's whether or not that ends up happening, and hopefully it doesn't, because she does seem like she's a genuine person from a distance. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's what makes me afraid that they're going to kill her like
Yeah.
the Princess Di. I see a lot of similarities there. She'll be sacrificed, much like Diana was in Paris. If you get into the actual looking into her death there with the paparazzis in the tunnel, there's a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of ritualistic events that took place during that. Even as far as her hitting the 13th column there, and we've talked about what a Illuminati number 13 is, just all of these symbols and all of these ritualistic things. I think she was ritualistically murdered. And I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see another ritualistic sacrifice of Kate Middleton, sadly. We've talked about this time and time again about how these royal families, whether it's British royal family, whether it's Queen Beatrice of the Netherlands, she's at Bilderberg every year.
Yep.
They're all connected Illuminati satanic families.
Yeah, and like I said, I just hopefully that won't happen. But it does amaze me that that's what we are against inherently as Americans is the idea of royalty, that you can't even put your arm around them and have a picture with them.
No,
I mean, like we said before, because we've put LeBron James on a pedestal in this country. Okay, so they're going to come over and meet him, but that's I would expect that, I guess, from an American to do something.
It's like that song that a 45-year-old geologist from Colorado that was pretending to be a 19-year-old girl from Australia sang about royals. Mm-hmm. South Park reference there with Randy being Lord.
What if George Bush had put his arm around her and taken a picture? Would that have changed anything?
That might have been the event that would have actually revealed the reptilian form of both of them, I think. But let's get to this David Clark video here. We don't want to keep going off about the royal family being 9-foot-tall lizard people. If you're into that, look up David Icke. He's got plenty of stuff to tell you about it. Some of the stuff the royal family does, I can believe. Some of it I can't. Princess Diana's name, though, for the royal family, for the queen and everything, was the lizards. That's what she used to call them.
Interesting.
Today, a number of congressional staffers walked out of work to show solidarity with the people protesting those decisions. They joined together on the steps of the House, raising their hands, as you see here, in the hands up, don't shoot gesture, made popular by those in Ferguson, Missouri. All this is tonight. Fox News releases a new poll showing that 62% of voters believe that race relations have gotten worse since Barack Obama became president. Joining me now, David Clark, the sheriff of Milwaukee County. Sheriff, good to see you again tonight. And so 62% of Americans believe that. And when you break it down, white and black, how have race relations done? 65% of whites believe that. 55% of African Americans believe that race relations have gotten worse. Are they right?
Of course they're right. Look, he built that. And he being the president of the United States, remember that statement, you didn't build that? Well, he built this racial divide. It was a wound that had been healing for a number of years, number of decades, I should say, and he reopened it with his divisive politics. Look, President Obama has benefited from the divide and conquer strategy, and it's secured 2 successive electoral victories for the White House, but it's been very destructive for America. Who would have thought that after the election of the first black president in the history of the United States, that we would need a period of reconstruction to try to put this country back together?
What specifically do you feel he's done or not done?
Well, he's taken sides in this issue. He's fanned those flames, and it started back at the Gates situation. Remember when he talked about how the police acted stupidly, and that insinuated that the police were engaged in some sort of racial profiling and investigating that. Like I said, instead of...
Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Instead of taking a more neutral tone and trying to get people to, stay calm about this matter, he fanned those flames. This was a chance for Barack Obama to have a Gettysburg Address moment where he could have asked the country to come back together and heal, and instead all we get out of him is being present.
Do you think it's the president himself, or do you think it's those with whom he surrounds himself, people like Eric Holder and so on?
Well, it's all of them. It's a cabal of people, but he's at the top, and when the president speaks, people listen. He has to choose his words carefully, and he didn't do that when he made the police all across America a whipping post and painted them as bloodthirsty
well,
and
he always
engaging in
stops in
racial
these remarks
profiling.
and says and he acknowledges the sacrifice made by police officers and the fact that they have the right to return home alive.
Well, he said the other day, though, that he blamed bad training, and he also said that this fear of people who don't look like them, when he was referring to the police. I thought that was disgusting. So while he may throw a few things in there, a few bones, if you will, to try to smooth things out, people know what he's doing. I said a couple weeks ago, he does this stuff with a wink and a nod.
What do you make of the fact that we now have, congressional staffers walking out? We've had basketball players walking out. We've had football players walking out with the hands up, don't shoot thing. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that's been disproven in Ferguson, but at a minimum, there's been very strong testimony that is not at all what happened, including by African-American witnesses who say that's not what happened. In the meantime, we just did a story about two big shot Hollywood producers who were attending a big fundraiser for our first African-American president. And behind the scenes, before they get there, they're talking about what movies would he like? Oh, it's all black movies. That's not, people aren't standing up and yelling about that kind of what appears to be actual racism, or at least racist comments. I won't accuse them of being racists, but the comments, versus a situation that is very ambiguous. Your thoughts on it?
Well, tasteless, and of course, people on the left get away with it, but that's who they really are. They were exposed for who they are. Look, if we're going to have this bigger discussion about race, and Eric Holder had said we're cowards when it comes to talking about race, well, I'm not, and I'm ready to engage him in that conversation. We have to begin to ask when white society is going to be through paying for the sins of slavery. We're now punishing people for sins that they didn't commit. At some point, and I've done this with myself, I've forgiven and I've moved on. I've stamped that bill marked for the wrongs of slavery paid in full. This country is now open for opportunities for all people. Instances of discrimination and racism had to go underground. Okay, it's been uprooted. The President of the United States said a couple days ago that they were deep-rooted, and that's simply not true. So we have to have that discussion as to when we're going to really be ready to move on and forgive people, especially people today who have no connection to what is being talked about anyway.
Sheriff Clark, was always interesting to get your perspective.
That's exactly right. And I'm somebody who enjoys history and studying it and trying to learn from it. But this has just gotten well out of hand, I think, at this point in this country. And the only reason it goes on is because we're a free country. And so they use guilt to rein people in.
And you heard him say there that it's America's open for opportunity regardless of who you are. And I'll say that's true. But at the same time, we've seen time and time again that we have a political group out here, the leftists, the Democrats, who don't want opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, I can say that that's true.
They want their voting block to stay on government welfare. They want their voting block to stay on handouts.
That's exactly right.
They don't want their voting block to go out and build a business. They don't want their voting block to go out and achieve. That's even the more reason why it should be being done, but it's not, because the government would rather be there giving you handouts, destroying families. And the Paul Joseph Watson, did you see the hashtag he tweeted out in response? Because everybody was hitting him up, calling him racist for his comments, and hitting him up with that Black Lives Matter hashtag. So he was like, really? Do they matter to Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, exactly.
And there was a great InfoWars article. It was David Knight the other day. He was filling in. I'm not usually big on the David Knight shows, but he had a good interview talking to a person from Planned Parenthood. Did you hear that? Talking about how much money she got for talking people into getting abortions. How she wanted the 14 to 18-year-old girls that would have multiple abortions, that would use that as their form of birth control. The low-income Hispanic, the low-income African-American girls. That's who she targeted when she worked at Planned Parenthood.
I didn't hear the interview, no.
She made over $80,000 off of abortions in 1 year.
It's too bad we can't find that video, because that would
I
be
can find
extremely
it probably
striking
during the break, and we can play that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that. The thing is, I have a real problem with it, and I saw this a few minutes ago, and I kind of want to bring this up because just quickly as you find the video, because we mentioned earlier about the torture going on overseas and how if they're willing to do that, they would be willing to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. It's the same concept for me. If you are willing to allow abortion into your society, regardless of how you justify it, whether it's because of rape or whatever else, or it's federally funded and it has a nice little doctor's office, however you decide to justify it, if you're willing to do that to the babies, wouldn't you be willing to do it to a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old? If you're willing to kill off your elderly, wouldn't you be willing to do it to a 20, 30-year-old as well? It's the same thing. We saw that in the movie Soylent Green, very excellent film with Charlton Heston, where at the end his father goes through the euthanization process, the assisted suicide process. I saw this earlier.
Soylent Green is people.
Yeah, out of the Telegraph. French Parliament prepares new end-of-life legislation. It says doctors in France will have the right to put terminally ill patients into a deep sleep until they die, under plans unveiled on Friday that reignited a national debate on euthanasia. Apart from Belgium, the Netherlands, and Switzerland, few countries in the world explicitly permit euthanasia or assisted suicide. In France, a 2005 law permits passive euthanasia, where a person causes death by withholding or withdrawing treatment that is necessary to maintain life. There is a culture of dehumanity going on, where people no longer, in my opinion, I guess maybe it's a desensitization to the value of life. You know, and you could tie that concept into all of these things we're talking about, with abortion, with euthanasia. I have a real problem with it. I like living. I like other people being alive and flourishing. You know, and I want to support that in any way possible. You hear that clip of Bill Maher where he says, I support anything that gets the free weight moving. I support suicide, assisted suicide, and all this. I think that's disgusting. And I think that, again, you go back to that fight between good and evil, where evil does not value life at all. And those are the people that are currently in control, as they are willing to support something like Planned Parenthood. Because it is. It is an evil organization put in place to euthanize part of the population. Population control. Again, they can candy coat it in any way they want, whether it's justified by rape or so forth. That's still what it is. Population control, Planned Parenthood. But people don't take offense to that, because there's a nice little funny commercial online with a little dancing girl and a pill. They take offense to the media when the media blows up an African-American individual getting shot by a cop, and decide to withhold all of the actual evidence that proves one way or the other what actually happened. That's what people take offense to, because they're dumbed down and they are focused constantly on television all day long and whatever they're fed.
Yeah, I've got we'll play it after the break here.
Excellent.
I think I found the Leanne McAdoo piece talking about it from Thursday's show. We'll go out to break now real
Excellent.
quick. Do want to say happy holidays out there, and this week starts really the holiday season. This coming Tuesday, the 16th, will be the first day of Hanukkah. So,
very good.
We want to say happy Hanukkah and play a little Hanukkah song here for you.
That's right. The Weekend Sit and Spin would like to wish you a happy Hanukkah.
That's right.
We'll play that Leanne McAdoo piece when we get back. I think it's an important topic these days, as so much evil is going on. So we'll be right back. Stick around. Enjoy some Adam Sandler. This is the Weekend Sit and Spin, KineticHiFi.com.
Instead of one day of presents, we have 8 crazy nights. When you feel like the only kid in town without a Christmas tree, here's a list of people who are Jewish, just like you and me. David Lee Roth lights the menorah. So do James Conn, Kirk Douglas, and the late Dinah Shore. Guess who eats together at the Carnegie Deli? Bowser from Sha-Na-Na and Arthur Fonzarelli. Paul Newman's half Jewish, Goldie Hawn's half too. Put them together, what a fine-looking Jew. only deck the halls or Jingle Bell Rock. 'Cause you can spin a dreidel with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, both Jewish. Put on your yarmulke, it's time for Hanukkah.
Every day is a lovely day. Your kinetic hi-fi, yeah. That's right, baby. You're listening to KineticHiFi.com. It's smooth.
It's so good loving somebody. Somebody loves you back.
Your business not going right? Don't know how to advertise? Come holler at your boys right here at Signs to See. We specialize in all your advertising needs. You need t-shirts, business cards, signs, banners. We got it all. Car magnets, decals, flyers. We got it all for you right here at Signs to See. Conveniently located at 937 Wapo Road, Suite 2B. You can also call us at 843-608-0722. You got a family reunion, you got a class reunion, and don't know how to get your t-shirts done? Well, call Signs to See. Signs to See is conveniently located at 937 Wapo Road, Suite 2B. Also, you can call us 843-608-0722. Or you can log on, SignsToSee.com. And I do all my business with Signs to See.
Hey, there's no shortage of folks out there who claim to be website designers, graphic artists. It seems like every day you hear about a new social media firm promising to optimize your website and social media visibility. What you may not know is that very few of these folks have the experience and talent necessary to fulfill their lofty promises. As a small business owner, you know every dollar spent needs to have an impact, and there's simply no better way to set your business up for success than to trust your online needs to Charleston's premier full production service, Advent Designs. Advent Designs has a history of success and customer satisfaction which is unmatched, and you can rest assured that your investment will see outstanding returns. Whether you need an intuitive new website, an eye-catching logo, a powerful new banner, or comprehensive social media campaign, Advent Designs is ready to help. Call Advent Designs today at 843-298-1619. That's 843-298-1619. Or visit the website at advent-designs.com. Advent Designs, the power of perfection.
You're listening to KineticHiFi.com, baby.
The bastards hung me in the spring of 25, but I am still alive.
I was a sailor, I was born upon the tide. With the sea I did abide. I sailed a schooner around the Horn of Mexico. I went aloft to furl the mainsail in a blow.
It's a little Chris Christopherson there. Hard to turn this song off. Got a little Waylon Jennings coming up next.
Waylon Jennings coming up next.
Highwaymen here. Country music super group. Super duper.
You know
group.
what, though? I tell you what. There's not that many country artists that I actually like. And they're all almost all of them are from this era.
Yeah.
Charlie Daniels, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings. Who do you have now that rival, other than maybe the Zac Brown band? There's a few out there.
All the others are like poppy.
There's a few out there that still promote the idea of freedom and doing it yourself and this kind of thing. That's what country is. Mm-hmm. It's not about painted on jeans and big trucks. It's about doing it yourself.
You mean it's not about listening to Taylor Swift's Relationship of the Week?
No, it's not. It's about living off the land. Living in the South. That's what country is. People have forgotten that. It blows my mind. All right, so I want to play this though because I did not get to hear this. An interview, evidently.
It starts with a Leanne McAdoo video package that she did for InfoWars Nightly News, and then they have an interview in here talking about a lady that just absolutely made a lot of money by getting people to have abortions. So we're going to play this. It's from the Thursday show, the Alex Jones Show. Like I said, David Knight was sitting in. Usually not a big fan of David Knight, but he does a great job. So
let's take a listen here.
Phrase that he used, and of course that's an economist's term. We talk about marginal costs and marginal benefits. In other words, we have a fixed cost of our factory. If we use more material to make more widgets, is that marginal cost going to be offset by a marginal benefit? So he talks about children and tries to do it in economic terms. And of course, telling people as they go into the abortion clinic, this child is going to cost you $300,000 over its life, or whatever number they pull out of the air about that. As if you're going to have to come up with that right away, as if that they know what the cost is going to be. You can't put a price tag on life, and you can't treat it with the kind of disrespect that we see being done abroad in our name, in our names, in the name of the American people. And of course, as Chris Matthews said, are you going to stop Al-Qaeda from torturing if you unilaterally stop torturing? I thought the whole idea was we were supposed to be better than terrorists. We're supposed to be better than the Nazis. Yet we come to find out that it's the same bankers who start the wars that are above both of them. We find out the CIA created Al-Qaeda. They used to call them the Mujahideen. But we also see them whining and dining bin Laden and al-Zawahiri and the Pentagon until they become useful scapegoats for their agenda. So it all starts with respect for life. And I want to go to this report next from Leanne McAdoo. Let's go to that now, the marginal cost from John Gruber.
Obamacare architect Jonathan Gruber is not just satisfied with selling the too stupid American voters a health care law based on deception and non-transparency. No, now Gruber has been exposed as an abortion advocate of the eugenicist variety. Now, during the Clinton years, Gruber co-authored a paper titled Abortion Legalization and Child Living Circumstances. Who is the marginal child? He argues that legal abortion had saved the U.S. taxpayer upwards of $14 billion in welfare benefits and that it also lowered crime. He argues that abortion of marginal children is a social good. If these marginal children, or urban poor, had been born, they would have been more likely to live in a single-parent household, live in poverty, die in infancy, and be in a household collecting welfare. I was raised by a single mother in low to middle class neighborhood. I even grew up some of those years on food stamps. But according to Jonathan Gruber, I would have been better off if I had never even been born. And this is the lie that they sell to these young women.
That's especially
that they might
a lie
as well
about
just get rid of their
Leanne
children
McAdoo
because they'll
she's
never
hot.
be able to make it.
Sorry,
and they'll
sexist
never
comment
rise
there,
up
I
out
know,
of
but
poverty.
she's
They won't
pretty
amount
hot.
to anything. They won't be able to afford it. So this is just a huge lie. And let's point out that this is the same exact man who's in charge of drafting our national health care law. So, no need to worry about death panels. And also, remember this.
There are also those who claim that our reform efforts would ensure illegal immigrants. This, too, is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally.
That was Representative Joe Wilson from South Carolina, and he's been proven
And
right.
one more
Obama did lie.
misunderstanding I want to clear up. Under our plan, no federal dollars will be used to fund abortions, and federal conscience laws will remain in place.
Turns out that was a lie. According to a new report from the Government Accountability Office, Obamacare is filled with abortion subsidies and plans that indirectly fund the procedure, forcing taxpayers to subsidize abortion. And as we've reported before, most of these abortion clinics are set up in Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. In New York alone, there were more Black babies killed by abortion than were born in 2012. And in New York alone, nearly 78% of all abortions performed were of Black or Hispanic children. Now, former abortion clinic director Carol Everett exposed that the industry seeks to find a constant stream of new clientele by infiltrating public school systems. And she also revealed how they specifically seek to target the fastest growing minority groups.
Well, I want you to think of this as a business. People don't think of it as a business, but they have to expand their market. And who is their market? It's the woman who's having an abortion. And so who is the longest-term customer for an abortion clinic? It's a woman early in her teens who is going to continue using abortion as a method of birth control throughout her childbearing years. So they go into the schools. With our goal was 3 to 5 abortions between the ages of 13 and 18. But you cannot just go to these kids when they're 12 and say, I want you to start getting pregnant. So what we did was we worked to create our market by breaking down the natural modesty, separating the children from their parents and their values, and becoming a sexpert in their lives. My commission was $25. My goal was 40,000 abortions a year so I could be a millionaire.
Wow.
The last month I was there, we did 545. My income was $13,625.
Were they specifically targeting minority groups here in the public schools to get them to become these repeat clients?
We just have to look at where their facilities are located.
Right.
And until recently, there was not a single abortion clinic located in a white middle-class area. They were all located in black areas. In 1984, Planned Parenthood came to San Antonio, Texas, and hired a Hispanic marketing firm to learn how to market to the Hispanic population, i.e. the fastest growing in the nation and the fastest growing in the abortion numbers and in the teen pregnancy numbers.
There you go. That's that report from Leanne McAdoo. Of course, Leanne and I and Joe Biggs, you'll find us all on the nightly news. We have a special going on right now for that.
Unbelievable.
And
But you hear it from the horse's mouth there.
that they sexualize kids just so they would have abortions.
That's right. And, you know, again, she brings up a good point. Just look at the locations of all of this. That they are not in middle-class white areas. And it's unfortunate that it is so obviously targeted, but people really don't realize it because it's packaged with a fancy liberal bow and funny glasses, and so you think it's okay. When really what it is put in place for population control, like we said. And that's the big problem I have with it. I'm looking at this here out of sfgate.com. Why Japan has fallen in love with human-looking robots, humanoid robots. And, of course, we've been talking about this a lot recently, that, the takeover of robots, and we've seen the movies and the pre-programming with the Matrix and so forth, that the robots are basically just going to take over eventually. And now scientists are saying that obviously that's the path we're on. Out of Tokyo, it says tap a touchscreen in the Miracane Science Museum, and a woman seated nearby on a plush white chair beams with a placid smile. They're working on creating robots that look just like people, that can start taking the place of people in jobs, as prostitutes, as retail workers, as cops, as whatever. It's interesting because I saw that movie, what's the one with Matt Damon, where the space station in the sky, what was the name of that?
Elysium,
there we go. He was arrested in the beginning of the movie, if you see it, and taken to meet with the district attorney or whatever it was, and it was a robot. And it was an emotion-sensing robot, so as he was getting upset, the robot was saying, oh, do you need your medication, and so forth. And this really is where we're headed, and when we are in a culture of dehumanity, like we're talking about here, where we're okay with abortion running wild, in our nation with abortion clinics. I mean, you heard what she said there. She was basically commissioned worker.
Oh, yeah, she was paid a commission to
like
get
she's
abortions.
a car
Yes,
salesman or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, at what point do you draw the line and say, look, you can't make commission off of killing people. This is crazy. But that's the culture that we are fueling.
And that goes again to the hashtag Black Lives Matter really apply here. When, as she stated in there, we've got the facts that prove more babies in New York were aborted than born.
Yeah, just look at the numbers. The fact that they have quotas in an abortion clinic, that's crazy. An abortion clinic is really something that should be completely privately funded. No quotas should be there. If you really feel like that's your line of work and that's what you need to be doing. I mean, this is a free country and you can do whatever you want. But to put quotas on it, that says that there's more of an agenda going on, right?
Yep.
Because you're expecting people at that point to get abortions.
And that's really been the new agenda push. I mean, we saw that with the Planned Parenthood chick out of Baltimore that released her abortion video and how it was happy she was that she had an abortion. She's got a photo to hold on to and all that sick, twisted stuff. I mean, it's really this push to move away from any type of family values. The show wasn't necessarily aimed at my demographic, but I think about the show Gilmore Girls. She got pregnant when she was like 16, came from a rich family that basically cut her off because she got pregnant. Did she choose to have an abortion? No, she had the kid. That was the whole base of the story, was the mom and the daughter. Yeah. And what that did there, instead of it, that show would have been completely different if it was nowadays, because it would have just convinced her to go have the abortion and live your life.
When you really boil these shows down, whether they're good or bad, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Gilmore Girls. I know a lot of people like it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch it with my mom. My mom liked it.
Sure, I mean, if you boil it down, though, it really does go to show what they're trying to, the agendas they try to push. Because, like we've talked about many times, every show is about a broken family.
Yeah,
and from a TV viewer perspective, it's kind of like, oh, look how the other side lives. Oh, this is reality for some people.
It's showing you the grass is greener.
Right, and so, when you look at that, it affects your, it makes you feel for those people. Like, it affects your emotions. But what it's really doing is showing you that the normal life is a broken family. To me, that's what's happening. Like when you watch it as a TV viewer, in the back of your mind, you're just thinking, oh, look how unfortunate this family is, and that's why you like it, because it's an underdog kind of thing. But the overbearing situation is that you're being fed constantly broken family, broken family, broken family. It's normal. Everybody's like this. It's not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. We need to get back to pushing real values and morals, and maybe everybody's broken because we've forgotten what it means to not have a broken family.
And we have to remember that that's the sole purpose of the entertainment complex. As easy as it is to get wrapped up into it, its sole purpose is for indoctrination and propaganda. That's why so many of the movies you see now, so many of the TV shows you see now, are funded and backed by the CIA.
Well, that's why they call it programming.
Walt Disney got his start from the CIA. And was connected to that.
And like I said, I don't have a problem with TV and entertainment. It's fun, but I don't spend all of my free time, watching television.
My problem is, and thankfully I don't have small children, but I know a lot of people that do. And right now I am horrified, absolutely, after trying to watch this movie and not even being able to get through half of it because of the Illuminati programming, the trauma-based mind control, the princess warrior programming of it. I am absolutely horrified at the movie Frozen. I could not watch the whole thing. I watched about half of it. I thought it was horrible. It was not good, in my opinion. Any part of it. The music's okay.
I think it's pretty cheesy.
It's very cheesy. The music, blah, blah,
See,
blah.
This is what I'm saying.
I'm glad to see... I'm glad to see Idina Menzel is getting a huge push. She was great in Wicked, the first run of that. It's good to see that. But at the same time, I don't agree with that. If I had a small child right now, I would not let them watch Frozen. I would let them watch the Lego movie. That's what they need to be watching.
Here's my thing.
They need to be watching movies like A Bug's Life. They need to be watching Pixar movies.
That's what the whole thing is. It's up to the parents.
It's trauma-based mind control.
To explain to the kids what's going on before they just blindly let them get... a lot of times kids will, and I did it too. All kids do this. You have a favorite movie or a favorite song or a favorite tape or whatever, and you listen to it a million times, right? I had a Sandy Patty tape when I was a kid that I listened to every single night, and I heard the same songs all the time. It never changes. Kids get fixated with things. Yeah. And you either allow them as a parent to get fixated with, Frozen, which, again, it's not that I have a problem with entertainment and fantasy and this kind of thing, But I would rather my kids be grounded in reality and enjoy fantasy to bolster their creative side, but also that they understand the difference. And that's where parents fail.
To me, that doesn't push good values. It's the same as every other basically Disney movie we ever saw with the trauma-based mind control. The parents die off in the beginning. She's a princess that's locked away.
You can throw any movie into that category.
That's what's so great about Pixar. That's what's so great about the Lego movie. That's what's so great about these movies. There are kids' movies out there. The Nut Job, which is anti-Agenda 21.
Yeah, I mean,
Over
again,
the Hedge is
there's
anti-Agenda
good and bad,
21.
There's good and bad everything.
Yeah, but
like
you have
I
to
said,
look away from Disney. When you get away from Disney and look at other kids' movies, there are a lot of good ones out there. It's just, it goes back to Disney and Walt Disney being a 33-degree Mason, being in CIA ran back.
And I get it, but they also own Pixar. They also now own
Well,
Star
not
Wars.
anymore. Pixar's pulled away.
They have, but again, the
and
point,
Pixar never bowed. There was no movie in none of the Pixar movies. Can you say it was trauma-based Princess Warrior
it
mind
wasn't.
control?
It wasn't.
None of those.
And that's that's the whole thing. It goes back.
They were
to
pro-liberty.
It
Everything
goes back
was
to having people need. There needs to be an awakening of the people.
Mhm.
Okay, because corporations can do whatever they want to, but if the people inside those corporations buy into that agenda, like in Disney, if you have a bunch of writers in Disney that buy into that. You're going to get a bunch of princes. I don't like it either. I'm not defending it. But like I said, with Pixar, you have a group of people that are freedom-based, that understand, and so they don't bow out to it, and you get great product from it. And I think that's where the battle needs to be, on the front lines with the people. Explaining to them that, look, your corporation, sure, they're a big corporation, they got a ton of money. Real life doesn't mean anything to these big corporations. It's up to the people running them.
And I'll still argue that Pixar movies are not directed at children.
No, I don't think so. Well, I mean, I think that
they have double meanings to a lot of them.
I think Pixar wants to capture both audiences.
In my opinion, Up is more relevant for old people on how not to get cynical, how not to, how to still be happy as you go through life and as you age, not become the cranky old cynical man, not become Walter Matthau and grumpy old men, basically.
Pixar took that same concept from the original theme parks that said, look, we know that kids are coming, but we know the parents are bringing them. And we want to make it not a worthless kids movie. We want to make it something that everybody can enjoy and appreciate. And if we take time and put value and relevancy into our stories, people will appreciate it across the board.
But your classic Disney movies, your trauma-based mind control, your Cinderellas, Snow White, those movies don't have the values for it.
Here's my argument there.
They don't have the values.
You're right. Well, I think to an extent you are exactly right. However, you do have the other side of it. I watched the Swiss Family Robinson the other day. When they hit land, the whole family, the very first thing they do is get down and pray in the movie. That's classic Disney. You know, that's 50s Disney.
But that was the culture of the time, too.
Well, but what I'm saying is, this is what I'm talking about. Entertainment reflects the culture. The culture is what's changed, and we've allowed that to happen.
To a lesser degree, you still see some of the more popular shows being like Duck Dynasty, being faith-based shows.
But that's what I'm saying. It wasn't always bad.
No.
What we've allowed to happen is that overall the culture has changed, and now the target markets have changed, so the companies are targeting and marketing to a different culture.
Did you see the tweet from Paul Joseph Watson this week about that, about comedians, and how he came out and said, comedians, if you're making fun of Christians, you're not being edgy. At this point, it's tired and cliched.
Exactly.
Because it's been going on for so long,
And that's why I'm so excited to finally see the satire going against the establishment, because for so long the establishment has controlled that satire. You know, you saw there was a period of 10 years where SNL didn't make fun of, Obama.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But finally it seems like people are realizing, look, we're in a fraud, and we either choose freedom or we allow this to continue.
SNL's done, in my opinion. They haven't had a relevant skit in
There's no doubt about
years,
it. But at least they're starting to... I don't even watch it anymore.
I don't either.
But at least I saw a skit against Obamacare. Whereas for the first complete term of Obama, all they did was kiss his feet. You know what I mean? Like I said, that's my problem. People just blindly accepting the status quo without realizing that we could change it. We talk about wrestling, how they're losing their audience. They could so simply change that around. We could change it around in this country by rejecting the movies that like Frozen that don't promote anything of value. And you're right. That it doesn't. Where is the value there? When you watch the Lego Movie, you can see actual value, and it's because they take real topics and make a point about it cleverly.
Yeah, it's everything we're hitting on right now, from Big Brother, from your cell phones tracking you, cameras everywhere, out of control police, militarized police forces, entertainment complex.
And that's why I'm excited to see McDonald's taking I mean, I don't want to see anybody take a nosedive, but you know what I mean. We vote with our dollars. We say, okay, we're tired of the GMO. We're not going to buy it anymore. We're tired of the Disney crap. We're not going to go see it anymore, and we'll start getting more liberty-based movies, and we're seeing that now. We're starting to see where people are turning against the liberal agenda in movies, and we're seeing more freedom-based movies that are relevant to the time. In general, I think. And that's a good thing, in my opinion. But like I said, it really does. I really do think we have to prioritize where our battles are.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we're quickly running out of time here, so let me play this other video I wanted to get to really quickly. We talked about the connections and how there's really going to be no difference in 2016 between Jeb Bush and Hillary.
Not at all.
And let's hear it from actual George W. Bush's mouth that he feels that Hillary Clinton's his sister-in-law.
Let's hear it. Let
me get that pulled up.
Yeah, I mean, again, it amazes me because they were mortal enemies. It's like Hillary and Obama. You remember them being, quote-unquote mortal enemies before the election. All a fraud. They met in secret because they're probably best friends.
Well, and we know that the Clintons were a couple put together by the CIA.
Yep.
CIA ran when they were Rhodes Scholars. Everything about it, they've been marked.
Scholars. There's a couple of idiots.
Well, that's the Rhodes Scholar program, is to find Illuminati scumbags and bring them in. It was set up by Cecil Rhodes.
I get so tired of
for the betterment of the Illuminati.
I get so tired of people unable to use common sense, but yet being heralded as smart and capable, and yet they lack common sense.
Here we go.
You've often referred to
this is
Bill
what Candy
Clinton. You
Crowley,
talk about his relationship with your father
before she
and
gets out of
how
there.
it developed, and your mother as well, and he's your brother from another mother. What does that make Hillary Clinton to the Bush family?
My sister-in-law.
Interesting. And do you think that your brother could run against your sister-in-law?
Yeah, and I think he'd beat her.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
She's formidable.
Very much so. No question. So is he, though.
Yeah. So you'll take that bet?
Absolutely.
You think she'll run?
Of course, you're not going to make it because you're an objective newscaster.
That's why I'm asking you.
Do I think she'll run? I have no clue. I have no clue. But I know this, that like Jeb, she knows what it's like. And she's taken her time. She's got a new complicating factor, and that is she's a grandmother, and like you and like me from the grandfather side, she's going to understand the joys of what it's like. And
just being available.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it'll enrich their lives like no other event has. And but both folks will make. Yeah, she'd be a formidable candidate, no question. And both folks, Jeb and Hillary, are going to make very considered judgments.
Really good timing on that granddaughter or grandson or whatever it is. That Hillary now can look like the happy grandmother for America or whatever.
Hold on, Nick. We talked about this earlier. I got to find it to play it too.
It makes me sick. Chelsea's kid. Good Lord.
Oh wait, that's not.
Where's that kid been anyway? They didn't have any kind of procession in England for it. It just makes me sick.
Here it is, Nick. Here it is. Are you ready for it? It's country ballad. Oh, gotta get the steel guitar going for it.
Oh boy.
None says Hillary Clinton like a steel guitar.
She's a grandma and a mother and your friend.
Looking back in time, learning hindsight's always right. We came together in no way to find a moment we all can celebrate.
Who sang this? I mean, good Lord.
Some jabroni.
And now it's 2016 and this time I'm thinking, guys, put your boots on and let's smash this ceiling. Oh, I've been thinking about one great lady like the women in my life.
Awful.
She's a mother, a daughter, and through it all, she's a loving wife.
I wonder if Bill would say the same thing.
Caring, hard working, and once a first lady. She fights for country and my family. Now it's time for us to stand up with Hillary.
I'm gonna cry.
Let's go ahead and skip this network break. I think this is more important.
This makes me cry. I'm actually weeping right now.
Hold on, it gets better here, Nick. You ready for the second verse?
I don't know.
It don't matter where you're living across this great land.
Across this great land in a red or a blue state.
'Cause the American dream's at stake.
'Cause our American dream is at stake. And there's some hard choices that need to be made.
You know, the hard choices of destroying the country or not.
We're needing a leader who is tough and ready, who's got vision for Miss Hillary.
What is her vision?
And that's my final decision.
To make the Baphomet come back.
Keep hearing, Hillary's got vision and all this. What vision is it?
This makes me think of another great song, Nick. Because, really, that's what speaks to the heart of America, right? It's country music. That's what speaks to the heart of America, so you got to remember it.
What would you do if you were asked to give up your dreams for freedom? What would you do if asked to make the ultimate sacrifice? Would you think about all them people who gave up everything they had? Would you think about all them war vets? And would you start to feel bad?
That's really what it is. I feel bad,
Freedom isn't free.
You gotta vote for Hillary.
And if we don't all chip in, we'll never pay that bill.
Never pay that bill. Oh,
Freedom isn't free.
And gotta cut it here because there's language, but
yeah,
you know,
and that's really what it is. Freedom isn't free. We got to pay for it with folks like Hillary. And
it's a good lyric there. Freedom isn't free. We gotta pay for it with folks like Hillary.
That's exactly right. I mean,
it's a damn high cost. Excuse my language.
Well, and that's what we're heading towards here. Can you believe this? Hillary? Do we really want Hillary Clinton in 2016? Is that what we really want? I mean,
apparently, because there's a sad country ballad with steel guitars telling us we do.
Even to all the Democrats out there, I guess I have to say, is that really what you want? Because I just don't believe that. I don't think so. I mean, we look at what we dealt with the Clintons before, and everybody's, oh well, it's you just the scandal's not even. I don't even care about the scandal. Okay, I care about the fact that these two individuals are evil in many different ways.
And again, how many elections do we have to have over the past 30 years that are Bush versus Clinton?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Again, let's get away from this. We need to move away. And in a positive note, in my opinion, one of the best choices for 2016, a common sense approach to saving America, Dr. Ben Carson is announcing by May 1st whether he'll run or not. I really hope he does.
Yeah, I hope he does. We'll see.
Looks like we're going to see Rand Paul. He's preparing the way to make a run. So, maybe we can get a Paul or a Ben Carson in there. I really think Ben Carson would be good. Of course, who knows what they'll do to digitally assassinate him.
It's possible.
Digital assassination is a real thing, folks. And, speaking of that, did you see the Billy Corgan talking about being digitally assassinated?
Yeah, no doubt.
On the Infowars.com article. It's kind of a long video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, I guess. But anyways, we'll skip over that.
Well, anyway, let's get some plugs in here as we end the year on the weekend. Since Ben, I can't believe this year has just absolutely flown by here at KineticHiFi.com. So much going on. Drew, what you got coming up?
Not a lot, actually. Got the show tomorrow. Be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the Sunday Spin. Going to take a look at Sandy Hook, really break down the reasons why I believe it was a capstone event and not a mass shooting, as we're being told to believe it was.
That's right. So check that out tomorrow morning. We do it every Saturday, 9 to 12 for the weekend sit and spin, and then Sunday mornings, 9 to 1 for the Sunday morning Freedom Spin. Drew Howard Show, 9 to 11. The Sit and Spin radio show tomorrow, 11 to 1. Tomorrow I will be on the road, so Drew's going to probably just play a video or something during my slot. But we'll be back next weekend once again. Christmas season is going to be a little spotty here at Kinetic just because, I mean, in 2 weeks it's Christmas. I can't believe it. I cannot believe how fast this year has gone by. But I'm doing a lot of traveling over the holidays. I know Drew's got some family coming in, so we will be kind of off and on for the next 2 to 3 weeks, but after that, at the start of the year, we'll be back on full force, normal, and it'll kind of be settled back down after that. So make sure to tune in. Suburban Myth also taking a bit of a break here. We're going to cut another EP with our producer. In fact, we're going up to the studio on Sunday. So stick with suburbanmythmusic.com to check out for that. We have some closing remarks here from our favorite, well, one of the good ones anyway. Presidents of the United States.
I don't know if you can say that, but
to each other. And party on, dudes!
Well, this particular one was a good one.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, I'm Nick O'Kelly, Drew Howard. This has been the Weekend Sit and Spin. We're glad you joined us. Spreaker.com, KineticHiFi.com as well. And we'll be back tomorrow morning. Check out Drew Howard's special on Sandy Hook. And next weekend, we'll see you for the Weekend Sit and Spin. Have a great Saturday. Tune in next time. Kinetic Hi-Fi.